Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. How are you? I hope you're all happy and healthy doing the things you love with those you love to do them with. What a day. What a day. Tottenham versus Leeds. It couldn't be bigger. It couldn't be more important that Tottenham turn up tonight, the fans turn up, that the energy, the passion, the desire, the work rate is reminiscent of what we saw against Aston Villa. Now, last night, there was drama galore in the West Ham-Arsenal game. Very controversial ending. And I want to talk about that to start with, because I do think it will kind of shape some of the points I want to make about tonight's game. We're going to go through the team lineups, the connotations, the consequences, everything else. I do also have to address and update something on the Spurs hub, because sure as day follows night, there are haters that are going to hate, despite the fact that it's in their best interests to utilize the format and the website which I'm building. A project that has taken basically me away from everything else for the last, well, for a long time. I've been thinking about it for a long time. I've been planning it strategically, getting on board it, putting it together, launching it, and then going through the early onset, the bugs that come with immediate scale and size of subscribers, even in the small, tiny little inset that we've got so far. Loads of little things creep up that you didn't see. So that's the reason why you haven't seen me for the best part of a week. You know, I've done one video where I announced the website, essentially talked a little bit about Tottenham as well. I think I've done like 2 on Football Inc. and Spurs 5 obviously hasn't been interrupted, but I've been working 20 hours a day, all day, every day, and all night, every night on this. So it's incredibly time saturating. The costs of doing it are already scaling pretty significantly, and there's people out there that are already trying to cast shade and doubt and talking absolute waffle about the reality of the channel, the intentions behind it, and the consequences for anyone who uses it. They're talking nonsense because they don't know what they're talking about. They're ignorant. But there's a lot of people that talk confidently ignorant, you know, in life. People that get an idea in their head that are full of an agenda, a predisposition, and then they fill in the blanks with absolute waffle. And it's very easy to dissect and decompose and to sort of push back on. Didn't think I'd have to do it so soon. But you know what? There's people out there that are just full of, like I say, jealousy and hate. So I'm just going to spend a little bit of time exposing their bollocks and getting back at it. I hope you guys are all capable of doing me some favors. Smash the like button, guys. Smash the subscribe if you haven't already. Notification button should be squeezed. Comments should be dropped. We hate. Well, I saw that word there and I slipped into my mind somehow. Oh, that's dangerous. I hope you guys are all doing fabulously. Don't forget, we are available on all of your podcast platforms. So if that is your thing, if you want to watch us back, you can find us on Spotify. And you can listen to us there as well. You can obviously listen to us back on Apple Pods and Amazon and all that jazz. So if that's your thing, and you are watching via a stream, via a website, via a device that has access to the chat, then in a short time you'll see stream elements that will come down with all of those links. Please give us a rating, a follow, and a review. If you don't see it, but you want to, if you go on Spotify, then please just look up Spurs Talk Show. Give us a rating, a follow, and a review. Appreciate any support in trying to grow this bad boy. And obviously appreciate any support at all in trying to grow the Spurs hub. We are at already 2-3 days in. We're at about 600 or so signed up members. People are starting to frequent the site, get used to it. People are starting to fill out the forums and all that stuff. So it's growing far quicker than I thought it would off the initial launch. But like I say, if you are utilizing it or using it, then just be a little bit patient because it's still beta, and there's going to be lots of little things that bugs that when you fix one thing, another thing pops up, or if you change something on the desktop, suddenly the mobile version gets a little bit formatted incorrectly, and it's just me, right? It's just me. And bearing in mind, I feel like I might have bitten off a little bit more than I can chew, because I don't know, Elon Musk or Jack Dorsey, right, who started Twitter, which is now X, well, they got enormous sums of money. And they have enormous teams of developers that keep Twitter going. Spotify has enormous sums of money and enormous developer teams that can keep that thing going, right? YouTube, the same. Reddit, the same. all of the features that WhatsApp, right? All of the features that that Spurs Hub has and will have in the future in next iterations. Well, there are companies out there that just focus on one of those things, and they have enormous sums of money and enormous teams of developers to be able to work away on it. I'm trying to do it all. I'm trying to build its own WhatsApp kind of chat feature. I'm trying to build its own like Spotify sync with RSS feeds, its own News Now blog. YouTube, obviously, that's just syndication of and embedding, which is part of the concern. People, are one particular fucking idiot is out there telling people just complete falsehoods to try to derail it, which isn't true. But I'm going to clear that up and show you why in a little while. But yeah, trying to do everything under one roof, and it's just me and some fucking guy called Claude, who's a computer genius, a little AI thing. But yeah, it's hard bloody work. It's hard work. So be patient with the updates, guys. Be patient with the updates. But I'm gonna do my absolute best to get this thing to where it can be. And like I say, primary intention was a desire and basically a philosophy that I have in life, which is that not everybody deserves equal outcomes, right? If you're a lazy git, I don't think that you should have as much as people that work hard. But I do think there shouldn't be anything that's holding you back. I think that there shouldn't be restrictions on your access to your own growth, your own potential, unnecessarily. And I feel like the algorithm, at least on the YouTube side, I'm not that familiar with how it works on Spotify. I'm guessing it's something like the same, right? The more popular you are, the bigger you're following, the more impressions you get, the more reach you get, and therefore it scales like logarithmically. And so similar sort of principles, right? The small guy is difficult to get found, but you have to keep working hard. Well, this was trying to solve for that, and then everything else got baked into it. So that's the kind of intention behind it. And obviously, you know, other things can come of it if it's a success. But yeah, it's just amazing how immediately you get so much great support from people that genuinely appreciate the effort and that want it to be a success, because they're not built that way. But there's other people that just don't. You know, I don't. If I'm not going to the gym, right? I don't. Someone said this to me the other day. I thought it was the best analogy in the world. Do you expect a six-pack from somebody else's workout routine? I'm like, no. I'm like, well, then why do people in life in other areas expect that their hard work should somehow afford other people's laziness or reward it? You know? Yeah, I don't expect a six-pack from my next-door neighbor doing crunches. You know, that's not how it works in life. Anyway, we'll come back to that shit later on. Don't forget, Spurs Hub is up there. You can scan it or just go spurshub.co.uk. Please do sign up. We appreciate you. Right, let's talk about what happened last night, guys. West Ham Arsenal, right? An amazing game, a really interesting game. And Arsenal really struggled to get into flow. It became physical. It became the sort of game that Arteta wouldn't have wanted it to become. In my opinion, Arsenal didn't deserve the 3 points. I thought West Ham were well worthy of at least a point in the game. Over the course of the 90 minutes, they were worthy of a point, and that would have thrown everything up in the air at the bottom end of the table and especially at the top end of the table. Manchester City were back in it, very much back in it. Then you had the controversy, right? First of all, Raya saved an unbelievable save from Matheus Fernandes. I can't believe Fernandes missed that after doing all of the hard work. But what a player Fernandes is, by the way. What a player he is. I said it last summer. I think this guy, well, actually, I said it 2 summers ago. I think this guy's going to become a really top player. Would love to see him at Tottenham if West Ham went down. Don't think it's going to happen. But what an unbelievable player he is. Didn't put it away, though. Could have put it away. 1-1 game on, nothing to complain about. Arsenal couldn't have had any complaints last night if they didn't get the points. They didn't turn up, and they let West Ham battle them in a way that they didn't want to play. But if I'm entirely honest, that whole thing that happened at the end, I've changed my mind 20 times on how I feel about it. Take out the connotations of the significance of the moment, right? Forget about that for a second. Forget about how it maybe put one nail in the coffin of West Ham's survival. Certainly put a massive nail, like a sledgehammer, through the hopes of Manchester City being able to get back into the title race. Was it a goal or wasn't it a goal? Was it the right decision or wrong decision? Look, I think it was a foul, right? I think personally that the guy's hand is on Raya's arm and certainly impeding the play. And we know that goalkeepers are protected more than outfield players. What I would also say, though, is that I think there was about 3 or 4 other fouls that were going on during that whole corner routine. There was such a melee. There was so much holding, so much pulling. And as a Tottenham fan, again, distance yourself for a second from the impact it has on our hopes, our dreams, our ambitions. But just from your experience this season, where from corner kicks specifically, Tottenham have been involved in 5 or 6 controversial incidents, 4 of which were goals that were or weren't given. And on all 4 occasions, the things that resulted in those things happening or not happening happened in that corner kick last night. And on all 4 occasions, Tottenham are on the wrong side of the inconsistency. So as a Tottenham fan, you can sit there and you can kind of empathise a little bit with West Ham, because you could make an argument that Trossard fouled whoever it was, Mavropanos, was it? Or was it Declan Rice that was fouling Mavropanos? Declan Rice was holding someone. Trossard was holding someone on the way in. There was a push onto the player that actually ended up jumping and putting his hand in anyway. Like, the inconsistencies are mental. But what I think is, and so I don't know what the right decision was, because the goal shouldn't have stood as it was, right? The goal shouldn't have stood. But the VAR only looked back at that particular incident. They didn't look at anything else. And it's not supposed to be everybody else's job to keep an eye on everything else that's happening. The whole purpose of VAR is to look at every angle and find multiple things to be able to consider where the infractions are, which happened first, and therefore what decisions should be landed on. Now, because there was 4 or 5, in my opinion, fouls that happened during that moment, I guess then it becomes chronological. Who did what first? And I think you could make the argument that Trossard made the initial foul, I think. But again, I'm back and forthing on it, and I don't know the actual rules. Would be really cool if like Chris, the referee, Spurs fan, would be able to let me know if he's watching. Big up to you if you are. Big up to all of you, by the way. I'm going to come and say hello to the chat in a moment. But I think you could make the argument that if there's 4 or 5 things happening in the same incident, then surely you can't just ignore them all and let the goal stand. Surely something has to happen. It either has to be a penalty or it has to be a free kick to Arsenal. I think that makes logical sense to me. And I think it would also make logical sense that it starts with what happened first. And I think Trossard was the first one to foul, I think. Let me know your thoughts. Either way, massively controversial, massively impactful. Like, even if that happened in the first game of the season in the 8th minute, there would still be like, well, that's important. We need to figure out what is the process here, because what happens yesterday should impact what happens in the future. There should be precedent. I know it's not law, it's not a science, it's art. Football is an art, so there's always going to be that subjective kind of interpretation. But you should be able to look and find consistency when the VAR has all of the access to all of the replays, and they don't. They never do. And it felt like to me my current position on it, but it is subject to change pending on what you guys think. And I've heard a lot of interesting takes on it from both sides. I thought at the time it was the right decision to rule it out, but as I've seen it back again, I don't think it was. And I think West Ham should feel very unlucky. 2 things I'd say. First and foremost, I'm a little bit worried as a Tottenham fan that 2 things have happened now that might influence the sort of unconscious bias of of referees tonight or in the next couple of games. First of all, there is that the idea all last week was, Villa have gifted Tottenham 3 points. They didn't turn up. It's a sham. It brings the game into disrepute. Investigate the Prem, investigate the Villa. A load of absolute bollocks. But that story was out there, pushed by the journalists, not by fans, but by journalists. And that sort of thing can impact, unconsciously or otherwise, the decisions going forward. And then if the narrative this morning is that, oh, you know what, West Ham were robbed, and if it turns out that PGMOL will send out an apology and say on review, we shouldn't have overruled it, we apologise, even though West Ham, it's not going to help West Ham, well, it might help West Ham because, if there's a 50-50 tonight, a penalty shout, are we going to get the edge? Or is there going to be double unconscious bias that's impacting and infecting the minds of the decision makers in the black on the pitch and in the VAR room, thinking, well, Tottenham got away with one against Villa, even though that's bollocks, and that West Ham got robbed last night, even though that might be true, but that's not Tottenham's fault. So there shouldn't be any of those things that are implemented, but these are human beings and there's agendas at play always, whether you agree with that or not. There's some agenda at play. It might not necessarily be malicious or what's the word? Not benevolent. Benevolent is the good version. Malevolent, right? That's the word. It doesn't necessarily mean it's got bad intentions. Let's just leave it there. But the reality is that the agendas can impact and infect the minds of the decision makers in real time, and that's a scary thing for me. The other thing I would just quickly say before I draw a line under the sand on what happened last night and talk about other things is I feel like it's a fantastic way to summarize this season, because in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, when you go on Sky Sports or whatever the iteration of Sky Sports is then, whether we're watching it through glasses or it's like or just in our head through AI chips or whatever else, you will look back on this season and most of us won't remember the detail, but you'll see the kind of the highlight reels of influential and impactful moments. And what happened last night was a massively influential and impactful moments. Big up to you, K Nitro, thank you for that. But I think it's a perfect way to summarize the overall sentiment of this season. Arsenal have, if they do win the league, they've won the league through doing what they did last night to every other team, and then as soon as it happens against them, they get the gift that every other team didn't get throughout the season. It also shows the ridiculousness of VAR. It shows how long these decisions take when they shouldn't take that long. Like, this season could be summarized in that 5 minutes of play. You know, a set piece FC goal moment created by the winner against a team that was a set piece FC moment that got the winning Premier League team to where they are. They've won this season by being set piece FC, by doing that stuff at corner kicks. And then as soon as the opportunity comes for another team to do it to them, they get away with one, and VAR steps in unnecessarily, makes an inconsistent decision that takes far too long. Isn't that the perfect way to summarize what this season has been? Because it hasn't been a memorable season for any other reason. It's been better, stronger, faster in terms of gameplay. There is less about technicality and more about brute force and strength. And that sort of thing is bad for the game, as is the delays in VAR, as is the inability to ever celebrate a fucking goal. All of these things are just horrendous demonstrations of where football is in 2026. And all of those things were summarized in that 90th minute until the 95th minute last night. So I really hope that is some sort of way that in 10 years' time, people will go, oh, what happened in the 25-26 season? That was a shit one, wasn't it? I can't remember why. Oh, yeah, that's it. That whole season was spoiled by bullshit FC, terrible refereeing decisions that are inconsistent application, too long delays, no ability to celebrate, and basically scrappy nonsense ways to get the ball in the back of the net from either side. It's been a disaster season. I can't wait to see the back of it. And I'm not just saying that because it's been terrible for Tottenham. That notwithstanding, it has been terrible for Tottenham. But either way, I think most fans would sit there and say this season's one to forget, especially if Arsenal win it. And by the way, listen, Arsenal will win the league, in my opinion, after what happened. But let's never let them celebrate it, because this is the other takeaway. Right, this morning and last night after the game, I've seen on loads of WhatsApp groups, I've seen my own WhatsApp group, I've seen on YouTube channels, as Tottenham fans, we're not sure what to do. Are we supposed to celebrate the fact that Arsenal beat West Ham? Are we supposed to bemoan the fact that there could have been a draw and Arsenal would have maybe then given up the Premier League title? I don't think we know what we're supposed to feel right now. And I think people, depending on where you're from and your personal relationship with Arsenal fans, who's in your network, the idea of Arsenal in the league is more or less tolerable than it is to people that don't know Arsenal fans, or they don't care so much about what happens to other clubs. Me personally, I'm happy that Arsenal lost the game. Arsenal won the game, because I personally don't know that many Arsenal fans. I personally don't give a shit about other clubs. I personally care about Tottenham. But that is insufficient hatred in the eyes of some people. And I can see some people that are in my WhatsApp group in the chat right now. Some people go, it's outrageous. You're supposed to hate hate Arsenal as much as you love Tottenham, or close. And I don't. It's not for me. Do I want Arsenal to win the league? Of course not. But if I'm entirely honest, I don't really want 115 charges to win it either. And I don't really like Manchester United fans. And Liverpool fans, I can't really stand on the most part, the aggregate. The ones that I've met, I find them insufferable. Not Scousers, but Liverpool fans that are from my neck of the woods, the ones I grew up with. Horrendous experience when it comes to watching football with those guys. Do I want, and who are the other teams that are up there? Do I want Chelsea to be successful? Absolutely not. So, it's pick your poison when it comes to winning. Who do you want to win the league? Yeah, maybe Arsenal's a little bit more poisonous. But ultimately, if West Ham losing last night takes that edge, that spiciness out of their game, if their heads drop a little bit, then all for the better. We're only 1 point ahead of them, right? We're only 1 point ahead of them. If we win tonight, we go 4 points ahead, which means they have to win their last two games. they might now, because of what happened last night, drop their heads and go to Newcastle and get a point. If we win tonight and they get a point at Newcastle next weekend, it doesn't matter what happens between us and Chelsea or us and Everton. However, if they had drawn that game last night, that's a whole different kettle of fish with the games that we've got coming up. Chelsea, we know what happens with Chelsea. No matter how bad Chelsea are, they've still got a good team and they'll still turn it on against Tottenham. And Everton, we have a fairly decent record against, but I mean, they're a very good team under David Moyes, a very, very good team. And we've got to play them at home, and our home form is atrocious. And there's no guarantee we're winning tonight. We've only won twice this season. So anybody that was really supporting the idea of West Ham drawing or, God forbid, winning, then I don't really get it. However, I do understand that I don't feel the same way. My hatred for Arsenal is not as palpable. It's not as ever-present and emanating from my skin as it is for other people who perhaps live in North London. I get it, to each their own. But it does present a weird conundrum where, I found myself celebrating when Trossard scored that goal last night. And I found myself torn around what I wanted to happen, either personally or what was in the best interest of consistency and refereeing when the goal went in. And I found myself happy when West Ham got it chalked off. So, I was torn, but that's where I landed. That's where I landed. So to each their own. To each their own. But it is interesting because if we do win tonight, and then Newcastle Newcastle beat or draw with West Ham, then we stay up. And then Tottenham fans can just go, let's all breathe a sigh of relief here. And then we can get back into transfer news, views and clues, which I've missed. I've not done any of that stuff for months. And I miss it. I love speculating around who we're not going to sign. It's the fun part of doing content. But, you can't do it until you know where you are. So Tottenham need to step up tonight. They absolutely need to step up tonight. Now, in terms of what happens tonight, well, look, for me, we have a slurp. Is it early enough? It's early, isn't it? Okay, it's game day. Now we're talking. Now we are talking. As far as game day, yeah, quickly, actually, let me pause on the game day. Let me come and say hello to some people in the chat. Big up to you, Kinsky. ENIC out tomorrow. Well, what happens to the ENIC out thing? Because I tell you what, if it takes us to stay up on the final day of the season, like if we're not safe by the final day of the season, then if we stay up on the final day of the season, it will be the biggest party celebration ever. And people will forget about what has been a terrible season, at least in the moment. And if you don't take the opportunity in the moment to protest, then when are people going to do it? They're not going to do it. They're not going to get together in June outside a stadium that's empty, or unless Beyonce or someone are playing there, and protest. That won't have any impact. So to those people that were upset, furious, disappointed or surprised or whatever at the decision for change for Tottenham and others to delay the protests in the pursuit of trying to create a better atmosphere when the bus parade happened. Like I say, I completely sympathise and empathise with the plight of the guys who run Change for Tottenham. I know them. I know a few of them, and I like them all that I know of. And I think they were caught between a rock and a hard place, whereby they were never going to please everybody. But I do think it was the right decision to not look silly. And you got 25,000, or if it was 15,000 people all singing songs down here, trying to create the right atmosphere, and a little kind of gaggle of maybe 20, 50 people, whatever, up the other end singing "Get Out of Our Club." It wouldn't have been a good look. People would have ridiculed them at the time. Not doing the protest was ridiculed by others. But like I say, I've been in this game now. I've been in the content game for 5 years, and I've been in the Spurs Hub game for 5 minutes. And just for what it's worth, before I got into any of this stuff, obviously with my previous life, not the finance stuff, but when I worked in tech, and I was sent around the world sort of training people on how to sell certain complex products and things, I must have bumped into or sold to, trained or spoken in front of whatever, did conferences in probably 10,000 people. And you see the same types of people, no matter where you go in the English-speaking world, America, Canada, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, anywhere in between that speaks English and has like a Western culture. I don't know about other cultures, but you see the same types of people. People are people, right? You see people that don't clap when you're winning, that like your friends that will go out for a beer with you, that will, that will have your back to some degree in minor things, but when you succeed in life, when you have something to celebrate, they're not really clapping, they're not really happy for you. That's an ever present. So always keep a lookout for those people, right? Always keep a lookout for those people. If you've got something to celebrate and they're supposed to be your supporter and friend and they're not really clapping, then be wary of those people because they haven't got your best interest. But you see the other people that are overtly not interested. Most of the time, people don't care, right? Most people don't. Half the world don't care about your issues, and the other half, most of the time, are happy for you to have more problems than they do because it's just the way the world works. But you know, when it comes to things like the Change for Tottenham stuff, you could see that they were always going to get on the wrong end of people. People were always going to completely disregard the effort that they put into trying to organize that stuff in the first place. It's a thankless task. And if ever you make a mistake, then people that are completely imperfect themselves, but and don't do anything in life are more than happy to point fingers, laugh, or take the piss, or just show venom towards you because it's so much easier to be miserable than it is to be happy, you know? And it's give me a dog over a human. Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. Dogs. That's why dogs have figured it out. Dogs figured out a long time ago, right? Like they can't do a lot by themselves. They haven't got thumbs. They haven't got opposable thumbs. They haven't got the dexterity that you need to be able to kind of grab things or build things. But they get a life of luxury. Dogs get to sleep all day. They get to go for walks, chase balls. They get food given to them as long as they get a decent owner. And all you've got to do in life to get that kind of outcome is look cute, be soft and strokeable. Pause. And be happy to see people, you know. And if you're generally someone that's happy to see other people, things go well. But for too many people, it's difficult to be happy for other people. You know, it's really odd, really, really odd. It is what it is. It is what it is. I didn't come on to do a rant, but I'm a little bit pissed off this morning. I've got to be honest. When I woke up this morning, and then I get sent videos by people who were just sort of, oh, have you seen this? And 2 different videos from people that I don't know. Well, we'll come to that stuff. Anyway, I want to talk about the Tottenham stuff first. But let me start with a couple of super chiddly chit chats for Spurs 6659. He says Spurs Hub is extremely good. Big up to you, man. Appreciate that, buddy. Like I say, it's early stages, mate. Early stages. I got future things coming in the roadmap. Once I've got through. Do you know what? I'm not even going to say what happened. I got this. I was talking away to Claude. I won't tell you the details of why it was a concern, but fuck me, I almost shit myself. And I hadn't thought about this. This is the part where when you're doing this stuff, you're sitting there and you're thinking you've got it all worked out as you're going along, but there's always something that you haven't thought of, right? There's always like, oh God, I didn't do that. Oh no, quick, do that. But I was sitting there and I was like, I would like to build like Twitter, but we're going to call it Hubber, right? I want a place for people to essentially like the clone of Twitter, essentially, right? Only because Elon Musk doesn't allow APIs, or it does, but they're not suitable for that sort of website, and the APIs are super expensive, right? Ridiculously expensive, and it would just be completely infeasible for this website. So I was like, oh damn it, because half of the engagement on Tottenham in the sort of sphere of Tottenham news or whatever is on Twitter, right? So if you can't kind of capture that, then it's not really a one-stop shop. And I was like, okay, well, let's see. I was like, how difficult would it be to clone Twitter or essentially rebuild it, not clone it, but like rebuild it. And it started saying, well, look, you're going to have version 1, 2, 3, and 4. And like to get to the final sort of phase, it's going to take a long time. But we can start with like a kind of basic version of it, you know, and we were going through it for like 4 hours. I was sitting there asking questions and we were kind of chewing it over the pros and cons. And it basically said, to start off with, just go for replies only, text only, very basic. And I was like, well, you've got to have at least images. It was like, no, because before you do images, you're going to have to set up this and that and have like CDNs and all these other protection measures put in. And I was like, well, I already have images on like the other things, like the profiles, the icons for people's profiles and the forums and all that sort of thing. It's already there. And it goes, oh, cool. So you've done all the other things then. I was like, what other things? What are you talking about? And it told me basically that if you haven't done, I'm not going to say what it is, but it's like if you haven't done this and that and the other, then you expose yourself to like unbelievably bad scenarios. And I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. No, I haven't done any of that. So then everything had to go out the window. And then for the last like 48 hours, I've done like 25 hours of this coding stuff, getting everything ready, ripping all of the current images off of the Spurs hub, getting all of the icons gone, closing all that stuff down, and then rebuilding it with all of those things, all of those protective measures in place, so that no one could upload anything that was that would essentially get me in a lot of trouble, you know. But that's all done now. That's all safe and secure and fixed. But like, it's just one of those things where you go, oh, okay, what else have I thought of? I think now I spent all day yesterday now going away. I just want to make sure that am I bulletproof with the current functionality? Is the security up to scratch? Is what people can do on it? Is there any issues? And I think everything now is good. So, but yeah. Anyway, that's just one of the stories that I wanted to share with you. Have you missed something? Spurs Hub. Yeah, spurshub.co.uk. Yeah, go and check it out. Sign up, play the predictor game, all that stuff. Sean on the Colombian marching powder today. No. I've literally I've just had one glug of cider. That's it. This is natural Sean. This is natural Sean energy. Promise you. Anyway, how did we get on that? Big up to that's it. Sorry, Spurs 6659. Big up to you. Thank you very much for the super chat, my man. I appreciate you. Appreciate you very much indeed. Aratatatar Ulrika Car member for 10 months. Big up to you. How are you? Big up appreciate you, Ulrika. Get out of the bath, dry your bits, pour yourself a G&T. We've got Tottenham tonight. Thank you very much for your loyalty. And Shay Bryant says, first time in 4 games I've been. Are you going tonight, Shay? Yeah, cool, man. I'll see you there. My mum passed away just over 3 weeks ago. Oh, mate, I'm so sorry, bro. So sorry to hear that, buddy. That's really, really sad, mate. Really sad. I hope you're okay, mate. I'm sure you're not. But if you ever need to speak, mate, reach out. But yeah, give me a message on Twitter or something. Or you can do it on Spurs Hub. But, mate, I'm really sorry. That's devastating news for you and your family, man. Yeah, life is short. So find someone that you love and give them a hug, you know? Because you never know. You never know. Appreciate you, Shay. And best wishes with your the process. Dermotron's in the house. Big up to Dermo. He says, I've been saying for months we stay up. Big up, Sean. Big up to you, Dermo. You never gave up hope, no? Never gave up hope. Appreciate you, mate. Thank you for your loyalty, buddy. You are. I know you messaged me. You are on the hub, by the way, as well. You are on there. Aussie Coys. Big up to Aussie Coys. He says, Sean, I'm fed up tonight. Been defending Spurs Hub on that effing donut comment section, talking to him about it, explaining why you're doing it, and designed to help channels like his, bro. I got you. I saw that, mate. I saw that, buddy. Thank you very much, mate. Yeah, I appreciate your defending, mate, and support. Yeah, it's just idiots, mate. Idiots who don't know what they're talking about. So I'll say, like, Hotspur Hippie brought out he put out like a video about me saying the only person who benefits from the Spurs Hub is Butler. No one else benefits from. Big up to you, Ozzy. I'll tell the story now. Thank you very much, mate. You haven't got to put in the super chat, mate. I saw you and I appreciate you, mate. Thank you very much indeed. I can't comment on his videos. So I think he blocked me a long time ago. Whatever. I mean, the geezer's called me every name. I think he's called me a racist. He's called me a far right. He's called me a Nazi. He's called Johnny the same. He's called Stel the same. I mean, those guys can fight their own battles, but I mean, this guy just thinks that he can throw around words like that, and they don't like those sorts of, those tropes that they just, oh, it's free speech. But free speech is, I'm 100% an advocate of free speech, 100%. It doesn't mean that you can slander people and just go, no, I feel this way. You're not allowed to talk about your politics, but I can talk about mine. Shut the fuck up, you absolute fucking idiot. But either way, this guy, I thought, well, you know what I'll do? I'll create a clean slate. Right, I was like, everybody, and there's lots of channels out there that hate me for whatever reason. Box Office hates me. I don't know why. Got no idea why. I always thought we were mates, but he apparently hates me. Hotspur Hippie is clearly a fucking idiot. He doesn't like me. That's fine. There's a few other channels as well. Whatever, right? But I was like, all good. It's all good. Right? I can't be seen to be playing favourites because that would be silly. So I'll give everyone a clean slate. Right? There's terms of service on the website. Like if your videos like are basically inappropriate, whatever, I don't get to pick which videos get shown or don't. And the limitations of the API that I'm on at the moment, like because it costs a lot of money to run, mean that maybe not every single video is always going to get published immediately or whatever. Sometimes there'll be a delay of 30 minutes or whatever. But always, it's just scale problems. That's fine. But I was like, can't be seen to be playing favourites because that would just be silly. And I don't really want that. Like the whole purpose is to give like the smaller channels a chance to rise up, right? Or at least one of the purposes, like in terms of the YouTube side, but to give everyone a chance to find everybody. So let like blank canvas. And then give everyone enough rope. And if these donuts want to act like they're donuts, then of course then I'll just remove them. Or if they don't want to be on the channel, they don't want to be on the website, I'll remove them. You know, I didn't see any reason why anybody wouldn't want to be on there, so I didn't bother asking. Maybe that's naive on my part. But I thought, well, you know, when it comes to, I don't know, 47 of the 50 channels that I found so far, there's going to be a lot of people out there that don't know these people exist. There's a lot of people that subscribe to, say, We Are Tottenham TV or Chris Cowlin or Ricky Sachs or whatever that don't know about me, or maybe they do but they don't like me, whatever. But I'm one of the bigger channels, right? So if it's the same for me, it's going to be the same for fucking everybody else, for sure. So I thought I'll put it out there and see what happens. And one or two of the people that have since been problematic about it, they're people that moan all day long about the algorithm being the reason why it's not fair. It's not fair that Butler gets reach and the click and the Spurs 5. Remember that whole story about the monopolizing of YouTube? Remember that whole fucking thing where everyone, all those other channels, the smaller channels that sit there and moan about everything, but don't actually put out any content about Tottenham. They don't actually talk about Tottenham. They just talk about people that talk about Tottenham. Remember all that? From about a year ago, from last summer. Oh, these guys are monopolizing YouTube. Okay, so you're moaning about that shit. You're moaning about the algorithm not being fair and that bigger channels get found and there's a click and it's who you know and not what you know. Even though that's all a load of bollocks, absolutely not. I mean, there's truth to the idea of the algorithm not pushing out newer channels, but there's a reason for that. It's because you haven't proven that you're competent content makers to some degree. But I definitely think that there is truth to the algorithm, not just sharing everybody globally, right? Of course. But the rest of the shit about monopolizing YouTube is a load of waffle. Anyway, those people that say all that shit all the time, it's unfair, it's unfair, it's unfair. Well, this solves their fucking issue, yet they've got a problem with the thing existing because it's me that built it. Do you fucking idiots. If you don't want to be a part of it because you don't like the creator, fine. I mean, you're morons. It's idiocracy personified. If you don't want to be a part of something which is going to help you and not cost you a penny, but it's costing me money to help you grow, fine. No problem. No skin off my back. I'll remove you, which I did this morning to 2 or 3 channels who clearly don't want to be a part of it. Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Just don't expect anybody to pay any attention to you when you continue to moan about your lack of opportunities to be found when you've just walked away from one because you don't like the person for whatever reason. I've never spoken to these people, don't know who they are, never had a chat with any of them in their life, but they don't like it. And then at the same time, you've got Hotspur Hippie who's going around saying Butler keeps everything, right? So I get all of the AdSense revenue and you don't get any AdSense revenue from your videos, which is just flat out nonsense and wrong. Right? It's completely wrong. He says that YouTube videos that are embedded on other people's websites don't make the YouTube creator any money. Wrong. I'll show you just to be entirely clear. So Google owns YouTube. I asked Google this morning, I knew this was the case anyway, do YouTube ads still work on embedded videos? Yes, YouTube ads still work and are frequently shown on embedded videos, with 2026 data suggesting an increase in pre-roll and mid-roll ads on embedded content. If a video is monetized, YouTube automatically serves ads to the viewers, even when displayed on external websites. So it has absolutely nothing to do with where the video is hosted. And even if it did, I couldn't change that. I have no control over any of that. I literally just run an API that grabs the data, and it costs a lot of fucking money to run that API. Ungrateful git. But grab an API and it just syncs it all in. Right, that's it. So if there's videos on, not all videos will show all ads out all the time, by the way. This is something people don't know. Okay, there's something called YouTube, or something in YouTube, but it's the same in all tech, in all of these places. Something called subscriber fatigue and advertiser fatigue. I'm sure you guys know that all of these technology giants. Before I go any further, I completely forgot to mention it. OK Jersey is today's sponsor. Completely forgot. I'm 40 minutes in. Sorry, OK Jersey. Sean 15 at checkout gets you 15% off already phenomenal prices, already crazy prices, great value, great quality. The combo is sensational. They're giving you 15% off right now. It's usually 8%. You're getting 15. Can't ask fairer than that. Use Sean 15 at checkout. Go and get yourself a nice World Cup kit. Go and get your kids something to, like, I don't know, something to celebrate for the summer. They've got the new shirts out. They've got the Jeremy Jackets, the training kits. They've got everything you could want for every club and for every team, and also non-branded stuff as well. So search OK Jersey. Get yourself over to OK Jersey. Sean 15 at checkout for unbelievable value. Appreciate them for the support. By the way, I've just bought myself, I've got my Nigeria shirt because I'm 8% Nigerian. And I've just got myself a Jamaica shirt as well because, you know, Magnums are going to have to Magnum. I'll be drinking Magnums shortly in a few hours when I get up to Tottenham. Come on, the Spurs. Come on, the Spurs. Where was I going with it? Right. So advertiser fatigue and subscriber fatigue. So sometimes when you run a video, forget about having ad blockers and things on for a second. If you just run a video on YouTube, sometimes you'll be shown an ad, sometimes you won't. Sometimes you'll be shown one ad, sometimes you'll be shown two, sometimes you'll be shown three. Sometimes you'll be shown an advert every 12 minutes on these sorts of things. Sometimes you'll only see one the entire live stream. Right? It's not predetermined. It's determined by an incredibly complex algorithm that understands you more than you know yourself, and it will determine which videos to show ads to you on, which adverts to show, and it doesn't want to lose you. It's the same with Instagram. It's the same with Twitter. Attention. That's why I want people to doom scroll, right? The more time you spend, the more money they make, the more ads they can show you periodically. But they know that there is like a sweet spot, like a Goldilocks zone, where if you show too many ads, that you're going to go fuck off and close it and go somewhere else. And if you don't show any at all, they don't make any money. So there's advertiser fatigue in YouTube. That is why sometimes you don't get shown videos and other times you do. That's why sometimes you'll get shown more on the same video and other times you'll get shown less. It's a thing. No one can control it. The algorithm dictates it. So again, that donut who doesn't have a fucking clue what he's talking about, he's sprouting nonsense. And people talk confidently ignorant, right? They don't know. They're dumb, but they talk with confidence and they explain things in a very simplistic way that makes you think, oh, there's some truth to that. Don't believe what people tell you. Don't believe what I'm telling you. Go and look it up. There's also something that's more familiar with content creators that they'll be aware of called subscriber fatigue, which is the same rationale. If I was to put out 5 videos, 5 10-minute videos, one at 1 o'clock, one at 1:15, one at 1:30, one at 1:45, the first video will do okay for 15 minutes, and then it will crash when the second video is published because it's got the new video reach will expire on the first video. But the second video won't do as well as the first one would have done because there's no data about it. And also because YouTube considers that the previous performing video's performance impacts the future video's performance. No one should ever put out too much content at once because it's called subscriber fatigue. They don't want the algorithm filled with all of the same person saying the same shit in a short period of time. You're supposed to leave at least 4 hours between videos. All of these things Hotspur Hippie has no fucking clue about, yet he wants to go out there and pretend like he does to try to sabotage or to try to invoke some narrative that I'm benefiting from his content. Bro, I would never benefit from your content because your content is shit and you don't talk about Tottenham. You talk about other people that talk about Tottenham. But I did give you a free reign, a free chance, as I've done with everybody. If you don't want your content on the website removed, yours is removed anyway, but the same rule goes for everybody else. If you don't want it there, it's no skin off my nose. It's cheaper for me to not have it. But I was putting it out there to help everybody. People like him, people like the others that moan about the algorithm holding them back and then cut their nose to spite their face. You know, it's quite literally insane. Yeah, Pete Smith. I work in media and advertising and Sean Amundsen's bottom. What's the benefit in lying? Now, in terms of my intentions, so like I'm already spending 350. Oh, this is the other thing that he said, right? Because I saw what. Sorry, I got off the point there. Aussie Spurs, who was defending me on that. I did see what you. I just want to call it out because it is a little bit odd. So again, just talk about ignorance on the concept. So this is what. Where is it? Is it here? It might be in his video. So
what makes
So Ozzy said, Spurs Hub doesn't benefit Sean, you donut. He's trying to get channels more views to help community. It costs him £700 a month. You're a moron. Grow up, you loser. 700 quid a month. Do you realize how much a CMS and domain costs a month? So again, first of all, it's not costing me 700 quid a month yet, but it will do very, very quickly if this thing scales. It's currently costing me 350 quid a month, but it's not a CMS and a domain. It's not a GoDaddy website that you go to GoDaddy and spend £6 on buying a domain name and then £10, £5 a month or whatever it is on hosting. This uses Vercel. This is using next.js code. It's using Supabase for SQL deployments. It's using Resend for email things from a pro version. I'm using Claw, which is like the AI tool, which costs a fucking fortune. I'm using API tools to bring in football data, which costs hundreds of pounds a month and will scale as it's necessary. YouTube APIs will cost in very, very swift time hundreds, if not thousands of pounds a month. It's ridiculous to assume that this is just a simple fucking website. It's so complicated. He's just doing GoDaddy. It's just GoDaddy with simple hosting. No, it isn't, you absolute moron. No, it fucking isn't, you absolute moron. He must think that like YouTube only costs Google a tenner a month to serve and to host all those videos. I mean, the guy's just a clown. Anyway, big up to you, Aussie Spurs, for the support, and big up to you there for Pete for confirming what I was saying. As far as my intentions, like, yeah, of course, as soon as I think it's appropriate, I'm going to have to put AdSense on the website. 100%. AdSense doesn't make a lot of money, by the way. Doesn't make a lot of money at all. It makes like £2 per 1,000 page views or whatever. And it's not going to pay the bills. And yeah, there'll be memberships that will have pro features that will be extraordinarily cool, that will be well worth it. 100%. If people want to support the channel, they can. If they don't, they don't. I don't know why it bothers him how it's monetized, because as far as he was aware, he could just have benefited for free forever. He could have benefited for free forever by just being, someone whose content was on there, and people would have found him and decided whether or not his content was valuable or otherwise. I'd probably suggest it would be the latter, because again, he doesn't talk about football. He talks about people that talk about football. But that was his prerogative, and yeah, he's gone. So that's it. The same with anybody else. If you're not interested in being a part of it, all you've got to do is write me an email. I just assumed everyone would want to be a part of it because there's no costs to them and only benefits. But if you don't want to be a part of it, just let me know and I'll pull you off happily. That sounded weird. I won't pull you off. I'll take you down. That also sounded weird. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Chudini's in the house with the first super sticker of the day. Big up to you, Chudini. Big up to Choo to you. Where are you, my man? Where's my media asset? Here we go. Choo to you, bro. Choo to you. Thank you very much, mate. Appreciate you, bud. Big up to you. What's that? The Big D, member for 25 months. Madness yesterday, but we need to just capitalize. Yeah, 100%. 100%, right? Tonight is all about no sloppiness, straight out of the traps, hit them hard. I doubt that Leeds will be up for a massive fight. There'll be some parts of them that will be up for it. The Leeds fans will probably still travel in good faith and good spirit. And I'm sure they would love to send us down. But are they really going to have the energy, the appetite, the will and the desire? And if we can bring out the same version of ourselves that we turned up against Aston Villa, and we get an early goal, get the second, and then it can be party time. And then you'll see me outside the banana karaoke bar at midnight singing Living on a Prayer. Right. Dermatron says, really appreciated you, brother, as a brother. I really appreciate you as a brother. Thank you, very kind. Love you, Derman. Love you, my man. Big up to you, buddy. I know you said, can I come on your channel? I will definitely come on your channel in the summer, mate, when there's a bit more time. But like at the moment, next week or next couple of weeks, bro, it's just I'm almost considering not going to Tottenham tonight because I feel like I've got 100 things I need to fix on that site. But I'm still going to go. Fuck it. Big up to you, though. Thank you for the super chat. Ulrika Carr says, Shawnee, do Hotspur hippie AI for the lols. Do you know what? Like, I don't really want to talk about other people like that. It's not really my style, but he's just really pissed me off today. I woke up this morning and I was just like, you fucking ungrateful little git. Like, you've been nothing. I've never really known you. I don't know him, right? He's just a miserable little prick. And I don't ever talk about him. But like I say, he's called me every name under the sun. He accused me before of having his channel taken down. Like, I'd never get his channel taken down. I wouldn't know how. I wouldn't know how to. I don't have that reach or that influence. But B, like, I don't usually care. I wouldn't care if someone said, "Oh, sure, I think Sean's a racist." Like, if you think that about me, you don't know me, so I don't care. I'm not racist. Do I have political views? 100%, probably the same as 100% of you about some like certain topics. You have a stance on things. My politics and his politics aren't the same. Do I give a shit what donuts like him think about me? No, I don't. So I would never bother. That stuff doesn't rattle me or piss me off. But trying to derail something before it's got going that is trying to help lots of people, all of us, hopefully, and spewing out bullshit because he doesn't understand what he's talking about and he's got an agenda and jealousy. Like, that to me is just like, fuck you. You are the epitome of everything that I despise in human nature. You know, you couldn't build something, so you want to tear down what other people build. And again, thinking it's just a GoDaddy hosting and fucking and a cheeky little website browser, like a website designer. I mean, absolutely insane ignorance. But yeah, would I do AI on him? Oh yeah, man. Oh, hello, man. Yeah. Oh yeah. Back the team or fuck off. Don't know. I might do. I'm not usually into kind of back and forth, to be honest. He's back again, Dermo. He says, you doing something nice. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, of course. Listen, I've got my own motivations. Right? I'm not going to sit there and pretend I'm doing it all for everyone else. Of course not. I wouldn't. I want to build something which is a cool project that hopefully everyone can benefit from, but also in the future, hopefully it's huge. Hopefully it becomes a really successful project. And, you know, obviously there's hopefully would be rewards for that. Like, that's obviously part of the plan, right? But it's a lot of sacrifice, blood, sweat, and tears to get there. Appreciate you, Dermo. Kate and Jimbo says, I appreciate you, Shawnee. You're a good man. Thanks for helping smaller channels like us. F the haters. Of course, Kate. Of course. I hope you're feeling better, miss, as well. I know you've gone through a tough time as well, like our friend earlier, who's lost his mum. So I'm sure you guys can empathise and sympathise with how you're both feeling right now. I'm not there yet. I'll be there at some point, I guess, in my life, unless I go first. But I can only imagine how painful that would be. So big up to you, Kate and Jimbo. What a rock he is. Rock star as well. Knowing about his past, the guy he used to be, I reckon me and the previous iteration of Jimbo would have been terrorists. We would have been absolutely disastrous together, but in a very fun way. Aussie Coys is back in saying, people will always find a way to shit on a good thing, Sean. You're doing something nice. Well done. It actually shows your character as a person. But appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, buddy. I'm really not looking for all the plaudits or anything. I'm not looking for people to give me a pat on the back. If you can't say anything, you know, just don't bother saying anything at all. I don't need all the plaudits. I'm going to get on with it regardless, you know. But yeah, I don't need people telling lies about the intentions and also the limitations of the thing. I'm not stealing anybody's money. If anything, they'll make more money. They'll make more subscribers. But the idea that he's putting out there that my website stops other people making money, it's just patently false. I showed you it's patently false, right? And but like I say, haters are going to hate. Big up to you, mate. Again, thank you, mate. You don't have to go to bat for me, mate. No one has to ever go to bat for me. I do appreciate it. I'm a big boy. I can take it, man. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, my man. And John Turney out in Japan. Big up to you, Johnny boy. Super sticker. Big up to you. Choo choo to you, Johnny boy. How's the baseball season? Is the baseball season still going, or is it? I don't know when the seasons are in for baseball. I don't even know when the baseball season is in America. Well, I've got no idea when it is in Japan. But big up to you, mate. Appreciate you. What are we saying tonight, guys? What are we saying? Are we going to be saying? For me, it's like the team picks itself. I think the team picks itself. I think we've got Kinsky in goal. Oh, by the way, Kinsky, Vicario. So in the press conference, Vicario's been given the sort of nomenclature of still being Tottenham's number one by De Zerbi. And I'm a little bit surprised because thus far De Zerbi hasn't put a foot wrong for me with regards his commentary in the pre and post matches. I love it. I love his words. And considering he's someone that doesn't even speak English isn't his first language, I think he's got a brilliant way of getting his point across. Imagine if he was entirely fluent, like he'd be able to just rat-a-tar-tar it to an extra level, amplified value. But he hasn't put a foot wrong. However, when he said Vicario's still our number one, I'm trying to understand the mechanics of the rationale for why. Because on the one hand, he's not playing tonight. So that means even if he's fit for the next game, he's got 2 games to play. Number 2, Kinsky hasn't put a foot wrong. Since he's come back from the Madrid under De Zerbi. Number 3, Vicario, according to all reports, is leaving at the first opportunity in the summer anyway. And number 4, which I think we haven't spoken about really as a fan base, or at least I haven't seen anyone speaking about it, but I've been thinking about it a lot. Kinsky, for me, offers something with his, like there's maybe an unintended consequence or an intended consequence of his ability to be kicking the ball out with consummate ease from the back that is more beneficial than we think. And it's not really celebrated. And the opposite is true with Vicario. So we know they're chalk and cheese when it comes to distribution. Now, if you remember, for the most part this season, most teams were implementing a full man press, right? Across all teams, across all games, not just against Tottenham, but most of the time, most of the teams play mostly a full team press. So pressing from the front, all that stuff. And it was a problem for Tottenham because we have Vicario who's terribly nervous under pressure, and the amount of issues that we've had because of his inability to get the ball out. In the last 3 games, Wolves, Brighton and Villa, all of whom play a full court press for the majority of their games this season, didn't play it. They played a midfield press. They would compress the midfield, but they didn't do the full team press. They didn't do man-to-man press. And I was thinking, well, why? Is that because there's just a tactical pivot? That's just for no other reason. It's just the way that they think they can get the best out of a De Zerbi possession-based team. Well, no, like possession-based teams, you would naturally press them more, right? You would naturally do the kind of man-to-man press more. If you've got a team that can do the press, you would do it more against possession teams to put them under pressure. And those teams are capable of playing man-to-man press, but they weren't doing it against Tottenham. And I was like, well, so what's that about? And I think it's because of Antonin Kinsky. I think if Vicario was in goal, they would do the man-to-man press primarily because of him, because it's a weakness. It's a part of the SWOT analysis. Where are Tottenham weak? The keeper, under pressure. Okay, well, let's do man-to-man press. Let's press from the front. And if you're going to press from the front, then everyone else has to press as well. Otherwise, it could be passed around. We haven't seen any team do that against us since Kinsky's been put in goal. And I think that's massively influential and massively relevant because it allows Tottenham to have a little bit more time on the ball, and it allows Tottenham to be able to sort of dictate the pace of the play a little bit better, which you want to have in possession-based teams. And so that makes sense to me why it is that a possession-based team like De Zerbi would be so necessary in finding the necessity of having a good goalkeeper with great distribution. And so for me, it all makes sense. And it's a beneficial outcome that I hadn't really thought about, which is that the opposition are adapting their tactics because of those things. And the rest of the team benefit from not having the full court press against us. So like, to me, that's important. You put Vicario back in goal and that goes away. And Chelsea play the full, if Vicario's back for Chelsea, or God forbid for Everton, those teams will probably do the full court press, like the man-to-man press against us again. And I think that is a relevant consideration because we struggle under that condition. We're not a good team at handling that sort of thing. So keeping Kinsky in goal is more important than just Vicario's injured and what's the point he's leaving anyway. It's because it's tactically beneficial for Tottenham in many, many ways, not just in possession, but in the ability to kind of dictate the tempo of the game because you have less pressure, you have more time on the ball. So that's why I found it really weird that that De Zerbi would go out of his way to kind of remind and reinforce the notion that Kinsky is just a stand-in. I don't understand that. Or why say that? It didn't make any sense to me. And if how's Kinsky going to feel about that? If it's true that Vicario's out anyway, is Vicario really the guy that is going to benefit from a De Zerbi system? Is De Zerbi really going to benefit from a Vicario goalkeeper in the future, in next season, even if he is here? I don't think so. So it just doesn't make any sense to say that at this crucial time. I hope it's a kind of small thing, but it's still kind of just weird because it's the first misstep that I've sort of seen from De Zerbi in terms of press conference communication. So there's that. There is that. But apart from that, back to the team 11. So Udogie for me on the left, obviously. He creates balance. He has relationships with Mathys Tel that are worthwhile. And with those two on the left and with Porro and Mwani on the right, we can do we can widen the pitch and we can do the dual threat thing I've spoken to you guys about for years and years and years, that the need for multiple access points and for stretching the pitch allows people with in the middle of the park to be able to have more space. In a world where we get better players next season on the width as well, that will be just super beneficial for a Xavi Simons or a Maddison or whoever's going to play in that 10 role, just to be able to create that space, which is something I've spoken about forever. And we haven't really ever had a chance to see it because whenever one of them's back, the other side is injured. And whenever that side's back, the other side's injured. And it's just a looping nightmare. But yeah. And then obviously Richalison up the top. And then the midfield would be no change. Bissouma, it's exactly the same team. Polinia, Gallagher, and Bentancur with Danso and Micky van der Ven behind it. I don't think you can ask fairer than that. That's an interesting one. You can't say he's no longer our number one, then want XYZ money for him. True. It's a good point. A little bit of devil's advocate there, Spursy. A little bit of devil's advocate, mate. I do like that. I do that. There's 670 people, guys, watching. Don't forget, anyone that hasn't already, please do subscribe to the Spurs Hub. Let me just put the thing in again, spurshub.co.uk. Don't forget to subscribe. Is Maddison available as well? Is Maddison available today? Ooh, any doubts about going down to the Tottenham game is over now then, if he's playing or if he's available. He'll only play 10 minutes though, won't he? He'll be so non-match fit. It'd be cool if we could get up to 2-0 up or even 3-0 up in the game and then give him like 20 minutes at the end, let him curl one, top bins, and then see the old dart celebration again. Absolutely sensationale. We've got someone here from Danilo Rojas who's put in a super sticker. I have no idea what currency that is. Is that Chilean? CLP currency. Yeah, Chilean pesos. Chilean pounds. Big up to you, my man. That's very cool. I don't think I've had a Chilean peso before. Thank you very much, Danilo. What a name as well. Danilo Rojas. To do with a name like that in the Tottenham backline next season. And that beard. Big up to you, mate. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Choo-choo to you, bro. Choo-choo to you. Muchos gracias. Big up to you. El Dan Torino says, yes, guys, win tonight and we're almost there. Exactly. If we win tonight, then any more slips from West Ham, and all we need is one more win. Yeah. And I think we can still beat you. If we win tonight, I think that we can get something from the Chelsea game. But a draw isn't technically enough, right? Because if Newcastle were to lose to West Ham, then even a point against Chelsea is kind of irrelevant. So on that basis, we might as well go all out. Big up to you, El Dante. Thank you very much. And my man, Ulrika, or my lady, sorry. I don't know. Are you a bloke, though? I don't know. I think you're a bloke, but whatever. It's all good. Rabbit Hole Ramblings, Levy binned and subsequent investigation by Price Waterhouse Coopers due to his awful payout to Cullen. It set a precedent that he now wants, which is why he's threatening legal action. Join the dots. Is there a PwC investigation into his payout to Cullen? I haven't heard that. See, this is where I've been for the last week and a half. I've been head first into the keyboard. I was on Football Link with Johnny the other day, and Johnny was like, Sean, what do you make of that Alex, was it Jimenez? I forget his name, at Bournemouth, who's under investigation for texting a minor. And I was like, what? He said, what do you think? I was like, I've got no idea on the story. What's the story? And he told me, I was like, no, I haven't heard it. He's like, it's all over the papers. I was like, I haven't heard it. He's like, hey, what do you think about Iriola going to Crystal Palace? And I was like, he won't go to Crystal Palace. He's like, well, according to every journalist, it looks like it's heating up. I was like, no, really? I hadn't heard anything, which is again part of the reason why if I'm not going to come onto streams informed on what's going on, then I'm grifting, aren't I? So, you know, that's like a fake it till you make it thing, and I don't want to do like that. So, I think you all are to some degree, but yeah. So I didn't know if there's an investigation from PricewaterhouseCoopers into the Cullen payout, but I guess the Cullen payout was paid out before he got tinned. That would be fascinating. Imagine if he said, I'll pay you £5 bar. I know they're going to kick me out. You give me 2.5 million of that on the other side. Because she could, right? She earns the 5 million quid, pays the tax on it, whatever it'll be. I'm sure she's got some sort of shenanigans that, let's say she keeps 3 million of that. Then he could go, you're going to give me 1.5 million as a gift. Gift it to me. And then if I live 7 years and you live 7 years, then there's no tax on the gift. That could happen. That's what happened with old Nigel Farage, didn't he? How dirty was that, by the way? Not to get into the old Politico thing, but the day after everyone's decided who they're going to vote for, that geezer gets exposed as having a £5 million gift by some crypto dude in Thailand. I mean, shady as F. That's why I'd never vote for him. Oh dear. I don't know who to vote for. I vote for nobody. Vote for Bugsy. Big up to you, my man. Thank you, or my lady. Thank you very much indeed. There's no law against donating a gift to your friend. There isn't. No, it's not. You can give anybody as much as you want, but there's inheritance tax implications if you die inside of 7 years or whatever. Doesn't mean that people are just going to gift you things without something on the back end, right? And that's what I want to know about. Like, I don't like the idea. I mean, I'm sure they're all at it. I'm sure all the politicians are getting gifts from people privately that don't have to be, you know, announced through political party donations or whatever. I can just say, well, it's for protection money or it's whatever, you know. Anyway, am I still moving to Ireland? I was never moving to Ireland. I've got an Irish passport coming, though, because I'm half Irish. 8% Nigerian, 42% English, and 100% arsehole. Listen, guys, we've been going for... You know what? I've got a bit more to talk about, actually. I've got a little bit more left in me. How about this one? Luka Vuskovic. Luka Vuskovic is 99.99% leaving Hamburg at the end of the season. He's been told he's coming home. Or has he been told, we'll get you somewhere better, which isn't necessarily Tottenham. %10 cider. Yeah. I like my last girlfriend where I was only 10% insider. 100% Arsenal. Knew it, Lee. Knew it. 10% Magnums as well. 10% Maggie the Migmags. Vote for Bugsy. Yeah, exactly, Madsy. Yeah, a gift of 1,000 tennis balls. There you go. That's all she can gift me is a couple of chewed up, muddy, slobber-based tennis balls. Yeah. She's awesome. She's awesome. And she's not always happy to see me. In fact, she growls most of the time. I think she's bipolar. You know. I think she... Who's that? Someone just let themselves into my house. Fucking hell.
Afternoon. How are we doing?
Let yourself in, make yourself comfy, take your shoes off, mate. Cup of tea, Luvo.
Cup of tea. How we doing?
I'm all right, mate. How you doing? What's going on?
Yeah, not bad. Well,
Yeah.
big game today.
What time are you getting up there?
Probably I'll be up there by 7, 7:45.
You don't participate in the fun and games surrounding the game. See, the game for me is the distraction. Like when I get up to Tottenham for other purposes, and I go, oh, is it time to go to the game? Okay, all right then.
I can empathise with you when it comes to my trips into Europe, because the day and the social is normally absolutely is normally better than the match, always.
Yeah.
So, but I do know that I've been going with my pal since 1985, and we normally meet for home games because he works as well. So we meet 2 hours before kickoff. We get together and head down to the ground. So there you go. So if you're in the 8 bar still,
I should be. I'll be probably in there. Yeah. Although I found out from Hayden after the Brighton game, he said the best place to be. I think what's the place? I think it's the place that's down by White Hart Lane Station. As you come out of the White Hart Lane Road, you turn left on the high road, and it's just on the left. Is that the Bricklayers? The first one on the left.
Yeah, first is the Bricklayers, correct.
Yeah, I think that's where Hayden went, and he showed me a video, and it was like bouncing, and I was like, "How long after the game was this?" He was like, "A couple of hours after the game," and there was like some absolute sorts on the dance floor, dancing around, and I was like, "Well, why do I go to the 8 bar after the game? Before the game, the 8 bar's all right. It's a decent meeting place, but it's so expensive in there, Lubo. It's like." Oh, for like a double, my mate Shaz Boy, or whatever people call him. If it's my round, he goes, "Oh, don't worry, Sean, I'll go up and I'll order it." So I'm busy talking to someone or whatever. And then I'll turn around and he's bought like 4 or 5 double vodka and Cokes or whatever. And they're like 20 quid a double. It's insane. And you just get like a plastic glass with, I don't know, it's so, but then you go to the place up towards on the way back to Seven Sisters, the something Arms, the North Coat Arms or the Blue Coat Arms or something. And in there, it's super cheap because I'd left the 8 bar and I went in there on the way back and I asked for a double and the guy said it was like £6.50. And I said, no, I said a double. And he was like, yeah, that's right. And I was like, oh, okay. Hello, 2010. Welcome back. You know, what's going on? The prices are like, and it's a much better experience in there. So these aren't concerns that you have to have though, Lubo, because you're not someone who drinks very much, are you? No,
I'm not a drinker. But I must tell you something, when I go into football away grounds now, the prices have just rocketed this season.
For booze.
You go in there, you go in there for like a pie, a drink, bag of crisps or a Mars bar or whatever. And it's like, it's big money. It's not like it used to be. There we go. £5.70 for an inch cider. There you go.
I'm not a huge fan of inches. Not a huge fan of it personally. But they don't serve Thatchers. Rightly so. It's loopy juice. Although those Magnums, as you know from being on the Spurs 5 with me, Lubo, when I start a show and I've had a couple of beers over the course of the day and I'm still in good state or whatever, and then I get a couple of those Magnums inside me. By about the 10 o'clock mark when we're rounding off, I'm sloppy, I'm slurry. those Magnums are lethal. They absolutely send me sideways. They do.
And today, finally, just listening to you, talking to you before about the West Ham goal that was disallowed yesterday.
Yeah.
I think.
What's your thoughts on that?
The biggest problem is, initially the commentator was talking about the West Ham keeper. So I was following the keeper and watching the keeper on the replays.
Yeah.
The keeper didn't go near him. Then they said, that it was Pablo with his arm. But if you look at Pablo's been pushed into the keeper. Trossard's got his arm round him or someone else. Rice he's got someone else in the bare hand.
Rapidos, yeah. So
if you've got more than one offence going on,
what are you supposed to do in that scenario? I don't know. What are you supposed to do?
When the ball's in motion, surely, and again, this is where. Nobody knows.
You blow the whistle and then get it retaken. I don't know. Like,
do you actually? I've seen that done a few times. Where there's referees very often stop the ball before it even comes in and says, "No, wait." That's right,
guys. Cut it out. You know?
When the ball's coming across, if there's more than one offence, surely that's where VAR will look at it and say, right, first offence was this. That's the only way you can do it. Otherwise,
I don't think the VAR was looking at anything else. I think they were solely looking at the keeper and the hand on the keeper.
Because
if you were just looking at that, it's a foul. But there was so many other things that were going on as well, which I don't think they were looking at.
Sure, because then every attacking team can feel unjustly treated. To be fair, if you're only looking after a goalkeeper, then what about the attackers that are being held up and pulled back?
Yeah, of course, yeah. And as a Tottenham fan, we've been on the receiving end of probably half a dozen of those decisions, and 4 of them resulted in goals, and 2 of them we scored, not given. 2 of them we conceded, both given.
That's right. You had the goal. You had the goal at Newcastle. You had their goal that was a penalty, wasn't it? That was given. Yeah, the penalty that was given there. You had the goal that was disallowed at West Ham.
Yeah, with West Ham, there was Liverpool with Van Dijk, and there was the Arsenal one.
Liverpool was Ekitike, where he had his hands all over Romero.
Yeah.
And then you had Jimenez, Fulham pushing Dragusin. And then you had Colin Warney and Gabriel. Yeah. So there's 5. There's 5 this season.
Yeah.
And not one.
You know what I'm worried about, Lubo, is that because of the kind of the what's the word I'm looking for? Because of the size of that particular moment in last night and the proximity to the end of the season, that they're going to say, "Oh, West Ham are going down as a consequence of that," right? And it's unfair, and that might seep into the unconscious bias of the referees, because last week they were told that Tottenham were gifted 3 points by Villa, which we weren't, and then last night West Ham were robbed. And they're going to go down as a consequence, and Tottenham benefit again. And I'm worried about what that sort of stuff gets into the unconscious bias of the referees. When in reality, if that happened 3 months ago, it's still unfortunate for West Ham, but they're not going down as a consequence of one decision. And if they are, then Tottenham are as a consequence of about a dozen. So it's sure, it is what it is.
I think the only way you can actually talk about that factually is like an Aston Villa last season, where there was a really shot. Was it the season before? Wasn't it?
The last game of the season where they were robbed of the Champions League football.
That's right. And
but even then though, like, just because that one decision screwed them on the last day, it doesn't mean that they were robbed of Champions League football because of one moment. They could.
Sure,
there's
because
38 games.
That's 38
games, right? So, but I'm just worried that these things are going to impact the ability to make unbiased decisions tonight, and I genuinely think that Tottenham have to take that environment out of anyone else's hands, right? You have to get an early goal. Sure. You have to take advantage of the fact that Leeds are safe and they'll to some degree not want it as much as we will. And we have to get 2-3-0 up in the game without any controversy, so that none of that 50-50 penalty shouts can be given to try to fuck us up,
Yeah, who knows? We may even get a penalty this tonight. Who knows?
We won't. No, we definitely won't get one tonight, unless it's stone wall. If it's 50-50, we won't, because we haven't had one. We haven't had any of them all season. And like I say, I just feel like at the moment the narrative is Tottenham are getting away with murder because of other things that are happening, and that's just not true. It's not true on any level.
I think. Listen, I think when you look at the 5 decisions we've just discussed, they've all gone against Spurs. You can't say that all 5 should have been given against Spurs. You might say that 2 or 3 are subjective. But I think we've not had the rub of the green when it comes to decisions. So, but listen, it's in our hands. Thankfully, we have dropped 4 points less than West Ham at the moment, and they've got 2 games left. So. We win. Yeah, we win tonight.
They have to win both of their games.
Yeah.
If we win tonight, they have to win both of their games. And then one more win for Tottenham, and we're safer.
Yes, one more win. I think we'll do it.
Win tonight and beat Chelsea. But even if we don't beat Chelsea, a draw. If let's just play the hypothetical. West Ham lost last night. If they win both of their last games, even if we win tonight, a draw won't be enough. I think 2 draws.
Correct.
5 draws would be enough.
5 points makes us safe because of the goal difference.
Yeah. So if we win tonight, get a point against Chelsea, then all we need is a point against Everton. Worst case scenario, and we're okay.
Correct. And they haven't won for 5 games, Everton, interesting enough. And most of those games they've been beaten in the last few minutes.
Yeah.
So whether that's lack of fitness, fatigue, I don't know. But they're losing games or they're dropping points. They're dropping points very, very, very late. Perchie, there were also fouls going on by Arsenal players on West Ham. So let's not ignore that. All right,
that's the context, Perchie. I think we all agree that the foul on the keeper was a foul on the keeper. But it's why were the other fouls not considered? Is my question.
Correct. And also, was Pablo pushed into the keeper? That hasn't. I don't think. Was that checked? I'm not sure whether that was checked.
No, they were just looking at one thing and one thing only, which was there a hand on the keeper?
Yeah,
and that's the problem with VAR, right? You have all of the angles. You have as much time as you apparently need. And you spent 5 minutes looking at one thing. You didn't spend any time at all looking at any of the other plays.
Yeah,
and that's what your job is there to do. It's not to review one thing; it's to review everything. And you should be able to do it a lot quicker than fucking 5 minutes anyway, because there's multiple people in the box in the VAR room.
Correct. For me, there's no point having VAR for subjective decisions because you might as well leave a subjective decision with the referee.
Yeah.
If you're looking at offside, then you've got the technology now to actually confirm whether someone's offside or not.
Do you know what else worries me, Lubo? I remember seeing something a few weeks ago where there was a handball, or I think it was a handball chance, a penalty shout. But the referee turned around and said like that. He goes, I couldn't see it. I didn't see it, right? And he was honest and said, like, obviously, whatever, if it happened, it was the person's body was blocking it. What worries me about that is that the clear and obvious thing comes into play. That VAR can only overrule the referee on the pitch if there's a clear and obvious error, which is a higher threshold than I didn't see it. If you didn't see it, it doesn't mean that you didn't think it was a foul, and therefore it has to be a foul, an obvious foul for the VAR to step in. It's I didn't see it, so I have no idea if a foul was committed. But the clear and obvious rule is still at play. So it's considered no foul because he didn't blow his whistle. But in order for it to be like, so a 50-50 that could otherwise be considered a penalty has to become 90-10 because the referee didn't make the effort, didn't make the decision on the pitch. But it wasn't because he didn't think it was a foul. It's because he didn't see whether it was a foul in the first place. It's a weakness in the science, if that makes sense.
That's right. Listen, the law should be changed. You look at cricket and you look at tennis, where they use Hawkeye and for both, I think, and they're looking for mistakes. They're not looking for clear and obvious. They're looking for mistakes. As the umpire, the ball, the umpire's given LBW, but the ball was bounced and it's going over the wicket. It's a mistake.
Yeah, but I guess the difference is that
has the ball landed on the line? Has the serve landed on the line, or has a cross shot?
Yeah, but that's scientific, right? That's like the rules are clear. If any part of the ball lands on the line, then it's in. If it doesn't, it's out. And so the camera can zoom in so close that it can tell within a fraction of a millimeter whether it did or it didn't. Whereas in football, there is still an element of subjectivity. You can't make football about objectivity because a shoulder barge can be too strong, or a push can be weak, whatever. It's not. You can't really compare, I don't think, cricket and tennis to football, personally.
Correct, because two are non-contact and the other is a contact sport.
Yeah, but they could do a lot better than what they do.
Well, I think the whole thing about clear and obvious is wrong, because if a referee's made the wrong decision, it doesn't matter if it's not obvious. It's the wrong decision. You've got to put right or wrong. So this whole thing about clear and obvious is flawed to start with. That's wrong. And it should be, for me, it should just be offsides and you've got goal line technology that works very well anyway. And
goal line's fine.
Let the referee get on with it.
Yeah.
And make their decisions, Sean, because referees, you mentioned penalty decisions. Look at the penalty decision against Alphonso Davies for PSG Bayern Munich in the first leg, just before half-time. That's all anybody was talking about at half-time. We'd just seen there were 4 goals before that penalty. We'd seen the most amazing 45 minutes. All everybody was talking about was the most horrendous VAR decision. The ball's gone off his thigh onto his arm, and VAR have given a penalty, and the referee hasn't got the balls to turn around to the guy in the studio when he's seen it and said, "Sorry, you're wrong." There's only been 2 instances. There was a referee who came on and disallowed, I think it was a goal, Palace Chelsea, in his first ever match earlier in the season, I think in December or January, and Michael Oliver went against VAR as well. All of them, there was a very good article in, I'm not sure, I think it was the Mail last week, where the referees are scared. They don't want to be making the VAR referee look bad, so they go along with the decision rather because the perception is maybe if I tell him he's wrong, he looks like an idiot and he looks like an incompetent. That's wrong. That's completely wrong. The only important thing is that the referee gets to the right decision. And there's no point having Stockley Park giving subjective decisions when a referee can give a subjective decision. That's not the point of VAR. The point of VAR was to right the wrongs. And that's not for me, that's not subjective.
I hear you. Actually, just quickly, because Chris is in the house. Big up to you, Chris. Chris, can I just ask you? Listen, I don't want to get stuck into like our referees, good or bad, or influence. Just quickly on the rules, as you saw it last night, Chris. I mean, Lubo and I certainly agree. I don't know if everyone does, but I certainly would agree that the referee got the decision right with regard, or that they got the decision right that there was a foul committed, but whether or not they investigated whether there were other fouls that were committed beforehand. Do you have any? Because they didn't talk about that, or the commentators didn't talk about it. We haven't heard the audio from the referees yet in the VAR room, and just more broadly, it didn't look like they were looking at other things. It looked like they were just looking at the like they were just freeze framing the hand and just looking at that over and over again. Do you think, Chris, with your own referee sort of hat on, that they were considering everything else and that they dismissed them as irrelevant, or do you think they missed it? And secondly, in a world where they did look at them all, how does it work as you understand it? Like, is it based on the first foul committed first? So, like, if Trossard had been deemed to commit a foul, and then on top of that, the West Ham or the West Ham player had committed the foul on Raya, what would have happened then? Would it have been a goal, or would it have been a penalty? What's the protocol? Like, if multiple fouls are happening, you can't just sort of allow things to play on, or can you? I don't know. Like, can you sit there and say, well, the goal was scored, but actually it shouldn't have been because Raya was fouled, but actually before Raya was fouled, someone else was fouled that was a West Ham player. I don't know how the rules go. So to your point, mate, where you say it here, like, if people don't understand the laws of the game, I don't understand the law. I don't know the law in that regard. So any chance you could fill us in, mate? I'd really appreciate it before we round off. Lubo, just to move on the conversation, I'll come back to it if Chris does update there. But as far as tonight goes, any changes in mind? Do you think apparently Maddison is available? Apparently,
yeah. I think. Listen, if we're 2 or 3 up with 10 minutes to go, I think he'll give Maddison possibly a run out if he feels he's up to it. If he's fit enough. Otherwise, he might hold him back for Chelsea. No changes. I think I can't see De Zerbi doesn't make changes normally apart from injury. Thankfully, there are no injuries. It was a super performance at Villa, so he's got no reason to change the team. And just more of that. Just more of that effort and intensity, closing down the press, moving the ball much quicker. It was excellent on last Sunday at Villa. Just need more of that, and I'm confident we'll get the 3 points.
Are you worried about the home factor?
No. You heard what De Zerbi said in his presser. Was it yesterday? He said
I only saw the later part. I didn't see the first part. So let me know. What did he say?
He said that regarding the home record, he said he's only had 1 game at home, and he felt that was more like a win because of the performance. Although obviously Brighton scored very late and nicked a point, he felt it was like a win. So for him, he's starting from ground zero. He's had 1 home game. So for him, what's gone before is irrelevant. He's been preaching that with the players to try and get the players mentally attuned, much more confident in terms of their mindsets, which will mean they'll play much more freely when they're on the pitch. They'll take more risks. They'll make more runs, and it looks like it's working. So as far as he's concerned, what's gone before him is gone. Another manager, and he's only interested in his record. So for him, he's had one draw that was very nearly a win, and he's going to go out hopefully and put that right tonight. So no, confident. I'm confident. Leeds haven't lost an away game since Jan 7. Their last 6 league games, they've won 3 and lost 3. And I don't think they've lost a game. I think they lost a home game beginning of March, first week of March, that midweek that we lost to Palace. And they haven't lost a Premier League game since then. So it's not going to be easy, but I do think we've got enough to win it. And also, they've been fighting like crazy to get out of the relegation zone. The fact they're now safe, mentally, psychologically.
Do you think that will calm them down a little bit?
I think there won't be.
I wouldn't want to be playing if Leeds were still in the hunt. If they were still catchable, I'd be a lot more concerned because I think they're a very good team. They're very organised.
Sure.
And they're decent away from home. They're much better at home, but they're decent away from home. But they're very combative and physical, and they've got some decent players. Apparently, is it Pascal Struck? Is it him? Who's the guy who's back for them?
Strike is a doubt. Goodmanson's out. Okafor's out as well.
Okafor missing is a problem. But Nemeka and Calvert-Lewin are playing. I think Pascal Struck he's back. I saw something earlier saying that he's back. No Goodmanson, like you say, no Griev as well.
Yeah.
So it looks like their team will be Darlow, Bijol, Struck, Roden, Bogle, Stack, Tanaka, Ampadu, James Justin, Nemeka, and Calvert-Lewin. Not a team of household names, Lubo, but
no,
a team that play together. But is the fact that their feet up now? Are they going to have their feet up? Do they care, or do you think they want us? They want to send us down because they're a big scalp. We're a big scalp.
No, I think they will be. Listen, they'll be professional. Daniel Farke won't have it any other way. But I think when you're fighting to stay up, there's an edge, and now all of a sudden there isn't that. That worry that if you don't give up, you don't just keep going. It might play into Spurs' hand. Listen, they might come out and give us a good slapping. You don't know, but you can't. It's human nature. All of a sudden they're safe, and it'll be let's go out and enjoy ourselves. There isn't that edge that they need to make sure that they're nicking points. So we'll see. Listen, they're unbeaten in 6 away league games, of which 5 have been drawn, and the other one they won at Old Trafford. So not going to be easy, but I think we've got enough to win it.
Chris is going to join us in a minute. I just speaking to Chris, he's going to come on and explain the rules, not to have a referee bashing session. Cool. I'm genuinely curious around what the protocol and the process is and was, because it's for because I'm more than happy to admit I don't understand a lot of the rules in football. And also when it comes to VAR, the processes and procedures, what are they checking? Did they check everything? I'm not sure if they did. It didn't look like they did. It looked like they were only looking at that particular thing. And in a world where they missed something, but if they had seen it, what would the process have been? I want to find that out. So Chris is going to come on in 30 seconds and let us know to finish off this delicious last 90 minutes. There's 718 people watching, guys. Don't forget to get over to Spurs 5. The Stream Elements link is in the chat. I should be able to get on tomorrow, Alubo, with you at 3 o'clock. The only reason I won't is if there is some catastrophic. There's apparently on the Spurs Hub tonight. I set this up like a week ago and I forgot about it. And I'm not sure if it's been beta tested or at all troubleshot yet or had a look through. But apparently there's going to be like a match day live feature that pops up on the screen so everyone can chat in real time. But obviously I won't be there. I'll be at the game, so I don't know how it's going to work. But I should be at the street. I should be at the game tomorrow. Let me bring. Where is he? Let's go. How do I get him in? Here we go. Chris, how are you, my man? Good to see you both. Thanks for coming on.
I'm all right. I'm not on mute. No, cool. Yeah, I'm good. How you doing?
Hi, Chris.
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Excited. A little bit nervous about tonight. And I'm pissed off today as well. I woke up with I was really pissed off with the slander that was going on about the Spurs hub. Fuck them, mate. But Chris, I wanted to ask you, mate. You've obviously been watching at least the last bit of the show there, so you know my questions. Listen, no slander. No ref bashing. Just generally, just curious about the process and the protocol around what happened last night.
Yeah, I'm happy to explain anything, but I should start it with I didn't actually see the game, so I've seen the incident. So all I've seen is on Twitter is the bit that you see on TV when it's gone to VAR and the screen comes up and it says VR and it shows them in the room, and I've seen that replay. So some of it I can't necessarily give you full context. I didn't see the whole thing play out.
Have you seen the corner? Have you seen the corner kick?
Yeah. So
that's what I meant. Because apart from that, the referee, as far as I was aware, the referee was pretty fine throughout the game. And he obviously initially gave the goal. Yeah. But then, and if you saw, this is again about the influence of management, Arteta, when it first went in, he was sitting there doing that, like, no. And he walked off. You could see it. So he wasn't initially aware of the handball. And then as soon as you see Raya doing this, suddenly Arteta's screaming non-stop. No, it's a hand. It's a hand. It's not. Wow. It's no goal. Yeah, it's a foul. Blah, blah, blah. And so there's all that influence as well. So like,
VAR does do that. It gives you a second bite of the cherry, right? Whereas before you would the ref's given it, the assistant's not got his flag up. You're done. That's it. The goal's given. Yeah. Now there's like, hold on a minute though. If we can find a foul here somewhere, we've still got a chance. So that's inevitable that they'll all do that. And Arteta obviously is quite an extreme proponent of that sort of gamesmanship. But anyway, protocol wise, I mean, probably easier if you just ask me questions. I'll answer them.
So as the corner came in, my initial thought was that looks like a foul from the guy who's jumping and he's got his hand on the keeper. It looked like the VAR was only focusing on that. We didn't hear what the referees were talking about. The commentators on the game that I was watching, which was an American stream, they were only looking at that as well.
Yeah.
It was only after the fact that I became aware that there was about 3 other instances. There was Trossard that looked like that he had fouled someone on the way in, that the Declan Rice had also, all these other things that were going on. So my question is, one, in your opinion, were the VAR looking at those other things, or were they solely focused on just whether it was a hand on the arm and a foul? 2, in a world where they had seen it and they had felt that there was other fouls that were happening, what is the protocol if there's multiple fouls that happen in the same play?
Yeah, to be honest, there's a few things going on here that's going to make it not necessarily the nice crystal clear answer. But I was just laughing because I've seen, just looking online, West Ham set to contact referee's body over disallowed goal. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, we just want to moan about everything. But anyway, back to the point. So when they check something, they are checking everything, but there will probably be a focal point of the check. So that probably is what will have happened. Is Raya will have run up to Michael Oliver and said, look, he's fouled me. And so Michael Oliver will be like, well, make sure you check for that. They check every goal anyway, just to see, is there any reason we can see that's obvious that the refs missed that should make it not stand? But there'll be a focal point for that check. So they will look at that and they'll think, is that a clear and obvious error? There's a few factors that go into what's a clear and obvious error. So some of it will be, what has Michael Oliver said to them? If Michael Oliver has said, I've seen his arm across his face or across his neck, and I'm happy with the contact, VAR's got nowhere to go then, because it's just a difference of opinion. It's not really clear and obvious. But if Michael Oliver has said, I'm happy with it, I haven't seen anything, and they say, well, there's an arm over Raya, and Michael Oliver's not seen it at all, that kind of allows VAR to step in a little bit then. So that conversation between Michael Oliver and VAR is important.
So just quickly on that point then, because I don't know if you heard, but I was actually saying to Lubo before you jumped on, in a different game about a few weeks ago, there was a penalty shout for a handball, and the referee turned around and said, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So he didn't give it, but not because he didn't think it was a handball, because he literally said, I couldn't see it. And that's why I was like, well, on that basis then, does the clear and obvious error have like a weakness in it? Because if you have to overturn something because of an obvious error, but it wasn't an error in judgment, it was it was no decision made because of no access to the incident. So what you're saying is, if in that scenario, if the referee says I didn't see it, then it's not so much about clear and obvious. It's about did it happen or didn't it happen?
Yeah, I'd say the bar is lower because what that enables you to do, if the referee's seen it and I'm the VAR and I look at it and I go, well, I disagree with it, but the referee has still seen the action, doesn't matter if I disagree with it. It's just a difference of opinion. If I've seen that and I think it's a foul and the referee's not seen it at all, that gives me the opportunity to say, I think you should go and review this because I don't know that he disagrees with me.
Okay.
So what that also does there, of course, is bake in inconsistency. It has to bake in inconsistency because that's the nature of the way it applies. But the wider thing about the other fouls, yes, they've looked at it. I've seen a guy called Dale Johnson who works for the BBC now. He's an independent reporter on refereeing issues. He has access to the discussion, so he talks through that they have looked at it all. Okay. Where I can't offer an opinion because I've not seen it clearly enough. According to Dale Johnson, they decided that the first foul was from whoever the West Ham player is who commits the foul. I don't know. I've got no opinion on that because I haven't seen it well enough to know. But the only thing I would add in that makes it more complicated as well, referees this season have, whether this is right or wrong, is a different debate. But referees this season have applied, I think, relatively consistently a view of where there's pushing and pulling on players that can't make a material challenge for the ball. They've just ignored it all, which I think has led to this situation where there's ridiculous amounts of grappling at every single corner.
Okay, that's interesting.
But they have been consistent with it. I don't like it particularly, but they've been pretty consistent. If they weren't in a position to get to the ball, they've kind of just gone. Is
that the same in the Champions League? Because wasn't there a penalty given just a couple of weeks ago when a cross came in and it was going out of play, but there was a foul in the box?
So this is where you get even more inconsistency. You have one set of laws of the game, but then you have different governing bodies who advise slightly different interpretations of those laws. Okay. Which is why you get those ridiculous handballs in the Champions League that you don't get in the Premier League, because they want to be far stricter. It's not that it's wrong in law. It's just that UEFA have said, we're going to apply it slightly stricter, and the Premier League have gone, we're not going to apply it slightly stricter, which is part of all the frustration for fans. I fully understand that. It's just really difficult.
I feel like if everyone is operating under the UEFA banner, which we kind of are, right, because the Premier League or whatever else, they all have access to UEFA tournaments as a consequence of their performances, then it should be pretty consistent application, right? But it isn't. Yeah,
but I'm not offering a view on that. You could argue that for sure. The only thing I know with the handball law is that we would not tolerate that in the UK. We would go mental if they were given every week. And I think rightly so. I think our version of handball is better than the Champions Leagues. But ultimately, if you want consistency, you have to have an absolute in the laws, and it can't in any way be, are they making themselves bigger? Because that question in itself is subjective, right?
Yeah.
Or you might think you'd have to have a law. Handball's the easier one to talk about. You'd have to have a law of if it just touches the hand, it's a penalty, which I think takes all in farcical territory.
Chris, I think there should be a new rule brought in. I think that every referee should run like a silhouette. And I think then that stupid law would be thrown out, because if a referee can run properly using their arms out, then how come a referee can run that way and a player can't? And I just think it's an absolute nonsense. Where a player's hand is above his head and the ball's come off his hand, then okay, that's ridiculous as far as the defender's concerned. But you look at the penalty that was given against Davis, Bayern Munich, PSG, off his thigh. I mean, it's the same with Sissoko at Madrid.
Yeah, well, Sissoko's was correct in law at the time. There's no question about it.
No, it came off his chest onto his arm.
The laws changed after that point.
Yeah, because of that incident, right? It changed that summer.
Yeah, I mean, one of them. They changed the law to start on June the 1st, which was the day of the Champions League final. They didn't actually say, right, we're going to keep the same rules for the whole competition and start the new rules first day of the Champions League qualifiers in July. We're now going to change the rules for the final. They came in on June the 1st.
But for any competition that started after June the 1st.
Yes, and that was ridiculous because
you can't change the laws for the final when you've had.
No, but Chris, you've got to have, if you change laws, then the laws for every single match bar the final. You can't just
no,
change.
no, that's not. I
final,
think what you're saying. I think what you're saying, Lubo's wrong. I think he's saying that the law was changed after the final for the next season.
It was again.
That law,
that
law around the handball was not the same. Like this, if you did the same thing in the semi-final, Chris, that would have been applied then as well, right?
No, it wouldn't. Wouldn't. It wouldn't. Believe me, I looked into that. You can imagine.
Well, they changed the law for one game, and then they played it back, and they changed it after that. Is that what you're saying?
They changed it on June the 1st. There were complaints about it. Honestly, Sean, they changed it.
They changed it to what it is now and what it has been since.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
The final was refereed according to the old laws. We can get into that. That's just factual.
Do you know what, Chris? When it was deliberate handball and hand to ball rather than ball to hands, do you know, football survived for 150 years and survived very well. And again, IFAB want to be the heroes. They want to be the gods. I'm sorry, they're killing the game.
This is the conversation I didn't want to. And I'm not going to get into.
Chris came on the provision. That there was not going to be ref bashing. Sorry, Chris.
Are there any questions on the laws or questions on the protocol of how things work?
So yeah, okay, fair enough. So let me ask.
One question.
Yeah, I just want to quickly finish what I'm saying. So Chris, just on the incident, yes, I know you haven't seen it, but in a world where the VAR, or you haven't seen it, like you haven't seen the thing in real time.
Yeah.
In a world where they had decided that there was the penalty, the corner kick was taken, and let's say that, I don't know, there was a lot of pulling and shoving, and you could make an argument that whilst the ball was in flight, that there was the foul on the keeper, but there was also a Trossard foul, there was also the Declan Rice foul, and let's just say there was also a West Ham player that was pushing and shoving someone else that wasn't involved in play. Yeah. Let's say there was multiple fouls. What is the process then? Because some people were saying on my WhatsApp group, there's so many fouls that you basically just play advantage and let it play out the way it was. And I was like, well, you can't do that. You can't just say because both teams are fouling that you let it play out. You either do it chronologically if you can figure out who started the foul first, or you either give a penalty if you decided that it was West Ham that was the first victim, or you give Arsenal the free kick if it was them that was the first victim. But you can't let the goal stand as it is if both teams were fouling, right? That seems silly to me. Yeah. But I don't know what the rules are, so that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
I mean, I think they need to do something about the level of grappling that's going on in the box. I think it's got out of hand. But anyway, so essentially the laws would say that you deal with things chronologically. So whatever fouls happen first. But again, I'll just factor into trying to be consistent. They've ignored all season when things are going on off the ball. So largely, I imagine they'd be ignored. But where things happen at the same time, the laws state that if there's one more serious foul than another, you would give that. So an example of that would be if someone's committing an indirect free kick offence. So they say it was a high boot, and at the same time, someone's punching each other in the face, you'd penalise the punch because it's more serious. It's a direct free kick offence.
Okay.
So that's where they happen at the same time. Where they are both, two teams are both committing the same offence at the same time, you crack on, really. You would just ignore it. Unless it was like, obviously you wouldn't ignore two people punching each other. But if it's just holding, now that's mostly what they've done all season, really.
That Newcastle penalty that we were given against, like, to me, again, maybe my bias hat on, my Tottenham's hat on, but I felt like there was the argument that Bentancur wasn't looking where the ball was coming from.
Yeah.
Right, which is obvious, and the commentators chose that as the rationale to push. But he, in my opinion, was getting held down by the arm of the other player. So I'm like, both players are fouling each other at the same time.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I'm right about that. But like, it felt like to me that Bentancur was getting held down, and Bentancur was also sort of pulling someone on. So you know what I mean? Like, that's one. Like, is that just a 50-50, or is that like, is there something there?
Yeah, I think the problem with that, when I look at it, I think it was a bit. The one thing I would say that I continually say that fans don't get is that you can look at one incident and you can justify multiple outcomes. It's not every incident there's only one possible definitive outcome. So I think for that example, you can make an argument for a penalty. You can make the argument that you just made. And I think both are kind of justifiable. I think why, in my personal opinion, that went the way it did, and why I would like the audio to be accessible to everybody at all times, I'm extremely
in real time. Would you like access?
I
to in
think
real
so.
time?
I'd have no issue, but I know that the powers that be are scared not of what the referees say, but of what the players say to the referees, becoming public knowledge for the image of the sport. But anyway,
swearing essentially.
Really, you'd be shocked at the way they speak.
No,
Maybe
of
you
course.
wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't be shocked at all. Right,
Yeah.
fair enough.
But anyway,
maybe you
just
could put
knowing-
maybe you could put like a 10-second delay and get someone to do the blip like the
possibly. But knowing the way that these things play out and seeing what happened in that corner, I'm very confident that what happened is the referee went over to Bentancur and said, you can't not look at the ball. And if the ball comes over and you're blocking him and not looking at him, it's going to go against you.
You're making my life easy for me, or whatever.
Exactly. And then if we'd have all heard that, and then 5 seconds later, Bentancur doesn't look at the ball, we all blame Bentancur. But because we don't make the audio public, we don't know that. And so naturally, as fans, we look for other explanations. So
that's fair enough.
Look, I think it was a bit harsh. I think it was a bit harsh, but I can see why it was given.
I get you, mate. I hear you, buddy. I hear you.
It's interesting because I was there on that night, and none of the Newcastle players appealed. Not one of them appealed.
Should appeal. You mentioned in cricket, Lubo, right? If there's an LB or an LB chance, the umpire won't. You have to appeal for the umpire to consider it, which is a strange rule, but it is what it is. Whereas in football, should you have to appeal for a penalty to get the penalty?
Well, what they do in cricket, Sean, is the referee the umpire will make a decision. There'll be an appeal. They've got 15 seconds to put the appeal in.
Yeah.
And then if it's very, very close, then the third umpire goes with the umpire's call.
Yeah, but this isn't about. He's not talking about the third umpire. He's talking about just the normal LB.
If Shane Warne bowls a ball and it spins and it bounces or whatever else, if it's something,
ask a question, right?
You have to ask the question for the question to be answered. That's the kind of rule with LB. It's weird. I don't think that should be the case, to be honest. I don't think that should be the case because you get influence from that, don't you?
You know what happens, Sean? Just being honestly, how I see that is football fans, not just football fans, football media, pundits, managers, their opinion pivots to whatever they're unhappy with that just happened. So if referees start giving penalties without appeals, it will be, well, no one even expected it. He's just, who does he think he is? We're not here to watch him. But then if you say that they've got to appeal, it's like, well, it's ridiculous. What they have got to appeal for? Everyone can see it always flexes to suit whatever you're unhappy with at the time. So
do you,
Chris,
do you agree? Gabriel headbutted Haaland. Had Haaland gone down, then Gabriel would have got a red card. But because he didn't, and Taylor actually
punished for being honest.
Yeah, I think it's very likely. But there's no law saying they have to appeal or if you get headbutted, you have to go down.
No.
But it's inevitable that in a game of mass uncertainty and as a referee, you're trying to work out what was the degree of contact between one guy and another when they've leant forward with their head. If the other guy's rolling around, that's why sometimes, you'll see a referee walk up and just look at the nature of the injury. You can't referee on that. You can't go, well, he's got a broken leg, I've got to send you off.
Although, Sonny was sent off against Everton for breaking that guy's leg, and it wasn't even like, I don't even think it was a foul. I think he got the ball first, but it was horrendous. But he got a red card because Sonny was distraught. The player had his leg hanging off.
Yeah, it was a foul, but
was it a foul?
The actual action of breaking his leg came from him stumbling and kicking the floor, not from the foul.
Right. Yeah.
So how much do you put onto Son there? I don't know.
Yeah.
But as a referee, you use the information available to you. So if I've seen someone going with a high boot and I'm like, that looks bad, I might just go and check the other guy's shin first because it will just give me a bit of information of, has he really caught? Has that really played out the way I thought it played out? It's not that I'm looking to see, there's blood, therefore I'll send him off. But
let me ask this, Chris. Right? So, again, I'm not trying to. Again, I know you play the difficult role here of explaining the laws, and obviously you are someone that's a referee, so I know you get put in difficult circumstances, and I get it 100%. My concern is that after Tottenham beat Aston Villa, fairly, rightly, and deservedly so. And I think the effort that we put in that day and the effort that they wouldn't have changed the result, even if they had John McGinn playing or anyone else. I personally think Tottenham were the better team, and I think Villa still had a very strong team out. But the narrative in the zeitgeist was Villa have gifted Tottenham 3 points, and West Ham have been harmed by that. And then what happened last night, and the reaction today is West Ham have been robbed by Arsenal winning the league. You've already sort of said that, referees are human beings, right? So they're going to be influenced by, like we all are, by the environment around us. Yeah. Do you think that there is any chance at all, not deliberately, but I think we spoke about this on a text on a chat before on WhatsApp, that maybe, just maybe, that there would be some influence whereby if Tottenham rely on a 50-50 tonight to get the result, that maybe that there's some level of kind of the environment, the unconscious bias that might invoke into the minds of the referee, because they've been told for the last 2 weeks that West Ham have been robbed of their survival because of what happened last night and because Villa gifted Tottenham 3 points, even though both are not necessarily true. I
understand the question. I've got to split it between conscious and unconscious, right? All I can speak of is consciously. I don't know most of these guys now, but 10, 15 years ago, I knew most of them, not personally to go out with a pint, but I knew their character. And I'm sure these guys are the same. So consciously, I know that they're not watching most of this stuff. They pay no attention. They don't care. Consciously, they care about doing the best job they can because they're invested in their own success as a referee, not all the nonsense that goes with who's doing well and who isn't. Can I sit here and say there's no unconscious bias going on? That would be an absolutely nonsensical statement, wouldn't it? Because if it's unconscious, and they don't know. So I always think it's inevitable that there's got to be some level, just walking out at Old Trafford. It's not tonight.
Yeah, the crowd, the fans, the noise, the sound. Yeah, of course.
I don't know how do you allow for something that you don't know that you're doing and you can't actually measure. I don't know the answer to that.
I think you have to part of the process of becoming a referee at the top level. You'd have to have some level of, I guess this would happen naturally anyway, by the course of action that always plays, which is the reviews after the game. But you'd have to sort of stress test the character of the referee and see how they handle pressure situations. Because
I guess that's the assessment process, right? And
the
ones that get to the top by being consistently correct rather
than that guy who on the first game of the season was a brand new Premier League referee this year, the guy who went to the monitor and then went, nah, fuck you, VAR, I'm going to stick with my decision.
That was Palace Chelsea, I think.
First game of the season, right? He was a young referee.
December. That was December. I saw something in Jan where first ever match, first ever game in the Premier League.
It was Faria Halam. It was in a Manchester City game.
Yeah, and has he refereed many games since?
He's done a few, but he wouldn't be expected to in his first season. They get drip fed in really slowly. But there was a narrative at the time the next week. Look, he's not got another game. He would never have had another game in the Premier League the next week. No referee ever has had one and then had the second one the next week. That's not how it works.
Okay, fair enough.
He's doing quite well for himself, Faria Halam. I think you'll see more of him over the next few years.
I loved the fact that I don't even remember the decision, so I don't even have an opinion of whether he was right or wrong. But I just love the fact that he went, no. I'm fine. I'm staying with what I thought. Thank you very much, because you don't see it ever. And like last night, the 5-minute delay, 90 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes of that was the referee going over to the monitor, spending 3 minutes looking at it. But it's just 99.99 times out of 100, when the ref goes to the monitor, you know that they're going to change their decision and go with whatever the VAR. It's always the way, right? But apart from, as far as I can remember, apart from that one time this season,
it's happened about 6 or 7 times since VAR came in, but it's not common. But that's the protocol. You can only send them over if you're saying to them effectively, you've got the decision wrong. So if you're walking over, you already know that the guy who's watched it on TV, who's got a better angle than you, thinks you're wrong. So,
but if it happens that infrequently, and part of the major problem with people's perception of VAR is the delays to the game and potential injuries that can come from the cold. You know what I mean? Like then if the VAR decided you've made a mistake, or we think you have, can you just come over and confirm? And 99 times out of 100, the referee agrees that they made a mistake. Then just like let's just go. Okay. Sorry,
I agree.
They've told me I got it wrong. We're doing this instead.
I understand that, but you've forgotten one thing, which is that's exactly what did happen in the first year of VAR in the Premier League. and everybody lost their mind that it's being refereed by a team in Stockley Park, and they said the referee on the field has to be the one who has the decision. This is what I mean. So that is exactly what happened in the first season, and they changed it because people didn't like it.
Fair enough.
But now they don't like this
yeah, okay. I didn't know that. Fair enough. That's cool.
Can I make 2 points? First point was, just out of interest, West Ham were involved in controversy against Everton 2 weeks ago with the handball when the West Ham player put his arm through and flicked the ball away with his hand. That wasn't given. VAR missed that. So West Ham have been involved one way and then the other way in 2 weeks. The one question that I haven't had answered, Chris, from yesterday's incident was, players hold players before a corner's taken. They don't suddenly, like, the ball's coming across and then they grab them. That doesn't happen. The ball's coming across after 2 seconds. Say Rice has got hold of the player. Ball's coming across 2 seconds in, and if VAR have got the full picture there, then after 2 seconds they can see Rice's manhandling the West Ham player. After 4 seconds, Trossard's manhandling a West Ham player, and after 6 seconds, Pablo's fouling Raya. What happens then if they break it down like that? The first foul was a penalty. Second foul was a penalty. Third foul is a foul on the keeper.
Yeah.
Should they not be looking at that, bearing in mind the amount of fouling that goes on in the box?
Well, yes, but again, with the caveat of, I think they've been relatively consistent this season in only penalising things that have a material impact on someone challenging for the ball. Whether that should be the case or not, I'm not convinced, because what it's led to is absolute like WWE at every corner, and I think it's ridiculous. I don't enjoy watching football now for that reason.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I can only say what I think is likely to have happened because I don't have access to the audio. But I think they've probably looked at everything and instantly dismissed anything where they've gone, well, he's not going to have got to the ball. Let's just focus on who was challenging for the ball, and in amongst that, who was committing offences. And so the guys who are doing it off, I'm not saying it's right, because I can't sit here and say if you hold somebody like with your arms around them, it's not a foul, because the laws of the game say it is. But we've kind of evolved to this, I think, unhappy place where referee, it's so impossible to control. I think you either ignore most of it and just focus on the people who are challenging for the ball, or you go to the other extreme. And I think people would be unhappy with this, where we almost make it into a non-contact sport and go, any contact, at least then you'd have consistency. But I think people would be really unhappy with it. But it's difficult, because what I do accept, Lou, I know me and you disagree a lot, but I do accept that you looking at that and you can probably point out and go, well, he's holding him and he's holding him and he's holding him. I can't deny that, because it's there in front of your eyes. I can only sort of explain that I think the way they're dealing with it is because it's so commonplace to go, right, who's actually materially making an impact to challenge for the ball, and then who's fouling who. That's how I think they've done it all season.
So you've got a situation where you've got, in effect, two wrongs make a right, because if players from both sides are holding each other, then that's ignored, and so the two wrongs are right. And then you've got a situation where a player goes into a tackle, genuinely into a tackle, without any malice, without trying to injure the other player, follows through, foul against him, yellow card, maybe a red, depending on the force. I think they've just got it so wrong.
I don't mind the second one, because you have to protect the player's safety. That's always the number one thing in football. So intent's irrelevant. We've had this discussion many times. The onus is on the player to, whatever they're doing with their body, to do it in a way that doesn't endanger the safety of other people around them. So they need to be aware of what is around them, Chris, irrelevant of whether they're trying to.
You've played football, haven't you? You're not responsible for the speed and the angle that your opposing player comes into the tackle with you. You can't be responsible for that, only for what you do. So sometimes you follow through. I've had players follow through on me. It's never been intentional. I've got hurt. It's not a foul. The guy's won the ball. He's beaten me to the ball. He's followed through and he's caught me. It's a contact sport. And what they're doing is
Yeah.
they're taking contact, they're taking tackling out of the game. And
there's a grey area, though, isn't there? There's a bit in the middle where just because you win a bit of the ball doesn't mean you can go in any way you like. It just doesn't.
well,
And I think that's fair because people go in absolutely terrible challenges and happen to win a bit of the ball and then
Sure.
go through and break their legs. So, and it's down to interpretation. I might look at something and say that's really dangerous. You might look at something and think, well, he's just committed to winning the ball. That's where you get inconsistency. I do one last point. It just makes me laugh a little bit where you have so many fans. I'm not saying you two, but whoever, who are going on constantly about consistency. And I always think consistency with what? Because you've got, like yesterday's decision, you've got Nuno saying it was wrong. You've got Arteta saying it's right. You just look on the internet to see everyone's split. Peter Schmeichel says it wasn't a foul. Loads of people say it was a foul. What are we trying to be consistent with? You can't, it's impossible. There's no unanimity amongst football fans or pundits or managers, but we want the refs to be consistent. But consistent with what? It's impossible.
That's fair enough. In which case, get rid of VAR. Get rid of it, because I don't want referees in Stockley Park refereeing the game that a referee who's competent, who's worked his way through years and years of exams and performances, has gone up to an elite level in the Premier League, and all of a sudden he's being diminished. If in effect he's done all this work over many years, and his decision making is being diminished by another referee in Stockley Park who's saying, I'm sorry, you're wrong on a subjective decision. Yeah. I'm sorry, it's wrong.
I wouldn't get rid of it, but I think it has gone too far in its reach. I wouldn't get rid of it because we saw when VAR wasn't in the FA Cup fourth round, was it, when Villa played Newcastle, and the referee had an absolute fucking nightmare of a game. Like, he was so bad, some of the decisions, and one of them was a Matty Cash handball and he's 2 yards in the area, and it's so obviously a penalty, but he's not giving it. And we saw the reaction to that. Everybody had a go at the ref. There's no VAR, so they didn't get a penalty. Everyone's unhappy with that.
How many decisions did that ref get right in that game?
Oh, yeah, but he had some absolute shockers. I mean, we've flipped here where you're going to defend the refs and I'm going to say, no, it was appalling, which is a bit weird. But there was some decision, and we all have games like this as referees. There were some decisions in that Villa-Newcastle game that were completely indefensible by anybody, including myself, who looks to try and understand why a referee's made a decision. Some of them were so bad, but we all have bad days at the office, and that bloke had a really bad day at the office. But that's what VAR is for. It's there to catch the absolute howler, where there is 99% of unanimity, where every fan will look at it and go, that was obviously a penalty. Like, he's 2 yards in the box. How could it not be a penalty? No. But now we want everything. But it doesn't. I think where we clash a little bit is you often frame it, Lubo, like it's the referees that push that agenda to control. It's not. It comes from the game. It comes from the fact that Arteta and Nuno and the Premier League clubs do not accept anything that ever may go against them. They are the ones that push for, we want this reviewed and we want that reviewed. In the summer in the World Cup, we're reviewing when the ball goes out for a corner. Is it a corner or a goal kick? That's not come from the refs. I guarantee it's not.
I know it isn't. The way I look at it is that pre-VAR, referees got on average 88% of decisions correct. Now, how many players, when you look at a player's stats, and you do this often, Sean, how many players have completed 88% of their passes, won 88% of their duels? Not many. Not many. So for me,
what's that got to do with refereeing decisions? I'm
just saying that referees should be left to referee. Take out VAR. It is killing the game. It's absolutely killing the game.
I personally, I don't think much has changed in regards the removal of the fan frustration at what they seem and perceive to be unfairness or inconsistency. Right? I think that back in the day, you used to have one source of frustration. The argument was always it all evens out in the wash. It all evens out in the end. And back in the day, you knew you could celebrate a goal. You knew exactly where you were, right? And there was, and you could talk about it afterwards. You still had the replays to go to afterwards and say, after the game, go, that's a disgrace. That isn't. Now, for me personally, the benefit of VAR is it probably irons out maybe, I don't know, 50% of obvious mistakes. there's still 50% of the things that are left up to the subjective nature. And there's a conversation every single week in every single game about VAR getting it wrong. So nothing's really changed. It's just the point of frustration has pivoted towards something else. Yeah. And on top of that, nothing has, it's got worse in terms of delays to the game, the inability for match-going fans to be able to know what's going on in real time. They have no idea. And the fan experience is horrendous. And also, you can't celebrate a goal anymore.
No, you can't.
Which is a massive problem. So for me, like on the kind of the pros and cons ratio, I don't think the pros outweigh the cons for me.
I paint it in a slightly deliberately mischievous way, which is I'm deliberately choosing my words here. But I'd say VAR, in one sense, hear me out, has been an absolute success. So it's there to ensure that if someone handles it on the line, there's a penalty and it gets sent off. If someone dies with no contact, that the penalty doesn't stand. If someone thumps somebody in the face, they don't get away with it. It's done all of those things. You never see that happen at all. The problem is exactly.
So Gabriel on Haaland.
But can we leave those things in? Can we have goal line technology? Can we make the offside rule cleaner so it's less subjective, and then keep that in place with automated referee? But in terms of fouling in the box, that sort of stuff, can we remove that role? Can we remove?
I agree. I think it's gone too far in that sense.
Dial it back a little bit. Dial it back.
What I do think is, I agree, but the narrative will always be, and we've already seen it from managers and from fans. It's like, okay, so we fixed these major errors, but it wasn't a corner before the corner came in, or he was slightly pulled, so he couldn't get to that. That's just the nature of football. The nature of football.
But no one blames VAR for the fact that a corner can't be, because we know that VAR can't intervene in those.
It can now in the summer.
Oh, they're adding more to it, are they? Oh, for fuck's sake! No, that's again. Johnny H was absolutely right. The last little kind of cherry on top of the fucking VAR cake is when it's going to be VAR sponsored by Specsavers. Is it like they're going to monetize VAR somehow at some point?
Ultimately, if you kind of extrapolate where we're going, the logical conclusion to this is that they almost flip roles, and the game is just automatically refereed, and then you have a human just dealing with the exceptions. It's supposed to be the other way around, but you can almost see that happening in the future.
AI robots within 5 years. Within 5 years, they'll be.
But you know what would happen, Sean? It might be all done according to algorithms, but it'll just
that robot's been hacked. Exactly. It's been hacked by Arsenal fans.
Do you know what?
That robot's definitely been hacked by the Arsenal.
Just have a referee. Just have a referee on the pitch, and let the guy in Stockley Park with his screen just tell the referee that was a foul, that was a handball, that was offside. I mean, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm not happy that they're extending the VAR.
They should be dialing it back. They've gone. I don't have a problem with certain parts of the technology. Of course, technology can make the world better, but it also makes it worse in every walk of life, not just football. You know, so without the internet, we wouldn't be able to talk. Without social media, we wouldn't be able to have this conversation in front of 800 people. By the way, smash like, subscribe. But with the internet comes the propensity to get fed misinformation, to have, whatever else. There's always the good and the bad. But for me, I didn't know. Sorry, Chris, I didn't know that VAR was going to get more extension.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. But we also live in a world these days where the default is outrage, and everyone's looking for a reason as to why they're hard done to, not just in football but in life. And I think part of what we see, this leans into your other channels, great opportunity for you to mention them, Sean. In my view, generally a lot of conspiracy theorists like that because it's a way for some things to abdicate responsibility for your own life.
Yeah.
And I think the same narrative is true in football. It's a way of going, well, it's not our fault we're 17th and in a relegation battle. It's everybody else's fault.
100%. I completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. We are suddenly, everyone's a victim, in life. 100%. And that's it might be true to some degree that the level, the playing field isn't level, that the dice are loaded, and for sure I do subscribe to that generally. That people, it's about the haves and the have-nots, or the who not the what whatever else. But I also think that is a loser mentality to always lean into there's nothing I can do about it. There's no point in trying. I think that's shit.
Listen, sure. I know people think I defend refs, although me and Bluebo bizarrely there for 30 seconds had a flipped discussion where I was criticising them. But I'd never sit here and say none of the refs have got unconscious bias. That would be a mad position to adopt.
No, I'll always defend you, mate, because I know how much it frustrates you. I do understand that you've got your own, you're tied to that world, so therefore you have a predisposition to being on the receiving end as a referee. No doubt, if you were a referee, I'm sure it doesn't change as you go down the tiers, right? To like Sunday League football, I'm sure the referees are always the enemy on Clapham Common or Hackney Marshes. You know, I'm sure it's a nightmare, right? Who'd want to be a referee? But mate, I appreciate how logical you are with it, and I'll always defend your stance, because there's nothing you said today which is in any way, shape, or form, I think, unreasonable in my opinion.
And on a positive for Chris, without VAR, would he have become like the Dermot Gallagher of YouTube? I mean,
with a little bit more hair. Actually, I've got.
Hey, you're far more reasonable than Dermot Gallagher. that geezer just defends the indefensible at times. It's mental.
Let me show you this. 1 second.
Sensational, Lubo. Sensational.
Can we see this? Oh, it's the
sun. Who are you with? Who are you with? Oh, with Dermot.
Oh, Dermo.
Yeah.
Dermot. Dermatron.
Met my hero.
I want to ask you a question. Chris. Has Sava asked you why you didn't get him on the phone when you were photographed with Ginola?
Well, no, he hasn't asked me that actually. But I met Ginola last week, which was he's a nice guy actually. And not everybody is a nice guy. I can tell. Like, as some people know, one of my hobbies basically is getting memorabilia signed. So I go and stalk famous sports people. Some of them are nice. Some of them are not so nice. Let's just, I won't name any names on this.
So you go out of your way, like you'll find out if there's a red,
loads of stuff here, mate. And
oh, wow. Is it just all sports stuff? Is it just sports stuff, or?
Yeah. So I don't go and buy stuff off the internet. I'll only get stuff if I can meet them and get them signed personally. So there's all sorts of stuff. There's at the top there's goalkeeper gloves. There, Pat Jennings, Tony Parks, and Eric Torsvet. So,
but you're not doing it to sell it. You're just doing it to keep it. Yeah, amazing. I love that, man. That's cool. Everyone needs a hobby. I must tell you,
Chris, my son's big into cricket. He was very impressed with your photo with Michael Vaughan.
Yeah, I've got, I don't know if you can see over there, there's loads of cricket bats signed, and Michael Vaughan was one of them. Yeah.
So what do you do? If you're going to a game or something, a cricket match, do you buy a bat from the merchandise store and then you hang around afterwards to wait until you meet the players? Is that what you do? Or mostly
these are organised meet and greet sessions.
Okay.
So but I will buy something in advance. So I was just laughing because this has been a running joke in some of my groups in the last week. But I'm for example, I met Bradley Wiggins last week, so I took like a yellow jersey, get him.
Nice, man.
It's just something. Mostly they're organised sessions, but occasionally.
Who's the most controversial character you've ever got something signed from?
Depends what you mean by controversial. I mean,
Lance Armstrong or someone that. OJ Simpson, something like that, anyone like that in the repertoire?
I don't think there's too many controversial. I'll be honest and say one of the people who I was most disappointed in didn't overly warm to would be Gaza.
Really?
There's lots of reasons for that. I just don't,
Probably had a bad day. I reckon anybody that's had to dabble with addiction. At his level, he probably has good days and bad days, I'd imagine.
That's interesting because when Gaza was at Spurs, he was one of the few players that went outside after training for the fans that were waiting for players. He signed every single autograph, even if it took him an hour.
Yeah, but back then he probably didn't realise that he had a problem. And more recently, if you've had the problem, then you never get over it. You spend every day resenting the fact that you're trying to resist temptation. So I'd imagine that it's more complex.
Without getting into it too much, the way I'd put it is I think Gaza is of a certain time, and I'm not sure that his attitudes and opinions have moved on with the times. I think they're stuck in a certain time.
Oh, okay. Interesting. All right, guys, listen, we've been going for well over 2 hours. I was going to do an hour. I only came on really to call out the bollocks, but it's turned into a fantastic show. Lubo, thanks for backdooring your way in. You know, you're like the hackers, mate. You're like the hackers. The hackers
you know
are the
what,
future
Sean?
referees.
I'm listening to your show, and you said, haven't got much content left. And I thought, I've got to get on then. I've got to get on.
No, it was great. I'm glad you did, mate. I'm glad you did, because it's been a fantastic last hour. Thank you for coming on, mate. Thank you to Chris as well for coming on, bro. Really appreciated your insight there, man. It really helped me understand more. I hope the chat go easier on Chris, because he's just his point is that most of the time people that are angry are either doing it because they're passionate, and that's fine and understandable, but it doesn't mean that your passion makes you correct if you don't understand the kind of the rules, and they are complex, and obviously they're always. I didn't even know that there's new rules coming, which is so it's a dynamic thing, right? So we all probably should do it. Chris, do you mind coming on next week or in the summer, and we'll do a what's coming with VAR, so we can all be updated on what we can expect next year. If that would be great if you can.
Yeah, no problem.
And YouTube needs, you know, Chris's thing is CC. It's Chris Kalina.
Wait, well, too much. You look a lot more like Kalina than I do.
You do. Yeah, Lubo. If you were to honestly, Lubo, if you were to shave the side stuff here, get some blue contact lenses, mate. I think you could pass as Kalina. To be honest, mate, Kalina was a good look. I think you could get some blue contacts. I think
have a hairstyle like him, Sean. Your man, your chairman.
My chairman. I miss him. Boys, before we round off, I want to get your score predictions. Just before I do, though, there are 750 people here. Please do like, subscribe, and comment. Please get over to the Spurs 5, which will be live tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Is it, Lubo?
3 o'clock, yeah. 3 o'clock.
Yeah, we're doing it because we can't do one tonight. Chris, have you haven't got a channel, have you, mate? You got a Twitter or anything that I should be letting anyone know about?
Spurs CC on Twitter. It's constantly me battling the world on referees.
You know what we should do? You know what there should be? You should sort of flip between the YouTubers and like do a Dermot Gallagher every Monday night or during the day with a YouTuber giving your views. That's what
I actually genuinely think that there would be. I don't know if there is one, but I think if there isn't, there's a hole in the market for a referee to start a YouTube channel and then to bring on a guest from both clubs of whichever the contentious decision was, and let them argue it out, let them debate why they're right and the other one's wrong and vice versa. And then you come in at the end and say, shut the fuck up, you both get a yellow card. It's my turn to explain what's going on here. I think it'd be a great idea.
I wouldn't be against it. The only thing I've thought over two reasons have stopped me. One, I think I'd want another person who's got a refereeing background to bounce off, because my opinion's not always right. I need to get challenged by someone who's got the same background sometimes.
Yeah.
And secondly, so if anyone's in the chat who that might apply to, feels like
I've refereed once, mate. I refereed once.
Yeah, no, the under 8s don't count, Lubo.
I refereed debates on Spurs 5 between Savva and Stel for 3 months at the start of the season. So I kind of got a bit of experience.
I'll be brutally honest, Sean, and you might empathise with this a little bit, because respect to the people who do it. When it really boils down to it, I just think, do I have the discipline to do the shows on a regular basis? And I'm not sure I do. I love talking about it. Maybe if anyone's got a background in refereeing and wants to do a YouTube show, let me know. And maybe
I think we could find someone. We'll speak about it afterwards, Chris. But I'm sure we could find someone. I think it would be a cool idea, because Dermot Gallagher doesn't do a. I don't think Dermot Gallagher does a very good job. I think he just defends whatever the on-field decision ended up being. And I think that there's room for a bit more sentiment, and a little bit more sensitivity in that regard. But
I know you want to finish. I genuinely will. I just come from it from a different perspective. So if I'm criticising a referee, he's probably done more to be fundamentally criticised than a lot of people. So this season, I've said this on other shows, one of the worst refereeing performances I've ever seen was in a Spurs. I've forgotten who we were playing now. Did we play Villareal? Was that a game?
Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I think it was that game, and I thought it was appalling. But we won, so it wasn't really something.
Yeah, no one spoke about it. No one talked about it.
And also the things that I look
That's
for,
always the thing, isn't it? No one cares. No one cares.
The things that I look for are not the things that you look for. So I was looking at body language, his card technique, how he was moving from one position to another. Fans don't care about that stuff, right? So
some do. I remember that gay referee who walks around with a bit of and he puts his card out in a certain way. He's a little bit flamboyant.
Very old meme.
I know.
Chris, why don't you come down with me to Sky Studios in Bournemouth we'll have our placards. Dermot out, Chris in.
Yeah, I love that.
Walk outside the
I'll start
studios.
that. I'll protest there. I won't protest. I'll do a little bit of change for Tottenham protests, but I'll
I can't
certainly
do
come
that
and
to
protest.
Dermot. Look, he even signed my cards. I can't do that to him.
Sensationale. Guys, massive thank you to everyone joining us. A couple of super chiddly chit chats. As quickly, Vice City Live says, big up to Zuckerberg and Lubo. Spurs win 3-1 tonight. Big up to you, Vice City. As Cat Fun, he changed his name again. Big up to you, mate. Welcome back to the community. And a user says, good work, Sean. Ignore the haters. They jealous. Oh, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, it doesn't bother me. It motivates me, by the way. If anything, it inspires me to make sure that this is going to be as great a concept as it can be. Because, you know, and even if it isn't, even if it fails, it's better to have tried and failed than never to have tried at all. They say that about love, although I've never gone down that path. But certainly with business ideas and projects, even if this doesn't turn into anything at all, at least I'll know that I gave it a good crack. But yeah, F the haters. Whilst we're on that, guys, there's about 60 or 70 new people that have joined up in the last hour since we started the show, or 2 hours. So if you haven't already, then you can go to spurshub.co.uk, and it's going to get better and better. It's a great place to. There's predicted games, there's forums, and all the YouTubers that want to be on the show will be in there. And podcasts and everything galore. It's gonna get better and better, so just bear with it. There'll be some teething problems, but please do show your support. And it's free. It's free, despite all. It's costing me a lot of money, but despite the accusations, I'm not making any money off of it at all at the moment. So big up to you all for the support that's come in. Lubo and Chris, last question is, what is the scoreline for tonight, and how confident are you? Let's finish on a positive note, hopefully. Lubo, what we saying, my man?
2-1, Tottenham.
Who's going to score?
Who's going to score? Richie. 88th minute winner by Archie Gray. Who knows?
Oh, a late one. You want that, do you? Is that what you want, or is that what you think?
Leeds to score in the last minute, like Buendia did at Villa.
Okay. Yeah. There's going to be squeaky bum minutes in the game. Yeah.
Joking aside, I think it's funny. Players don't score goals, then they score several one after another, and maybe Gallagher will start scoring now. So for me, Richie and Gallagher.
Yeah, I like the fact that De Zerbi's let the reins off of those XG concerns. Right, shoot from distance, shoot on sight. You know, let's not try and walk it into the net if you get a chance. Chris, big up to you, mate. Thank you so much for coming on, mate. Always appreciate your insights. What's your score prediction, and what do you see happening?
Yeah, I'm going to stick to what I was thinking beforehand, even though Lubo's basically just said it all. I don't like agreeing with Lubo, but occasionally I suppose you got to, haven't you? So I was thinking 2-1. I was also thinking Gallagher. I don't know who else. Maybe get a big Kevin Danso up for a score from a corner or something. Maybe we could score from one of his long throws, because it's the first time for
that would be lovely, wouldn't it? That's another thing that takes too long. If refereeing and VAR decisions take too long, the long throw game has to change. Those things take fucking far too long.
Sean, last week, Gallagher's goal came initially from a long throw. Ball was headed out. Gallagher took a touch, put it in the back of the net.
So are we finally able to ascribe some value to that long throw then? Because we've tried them all season, and I've seen, from memory, nothing of value that's come from it. So we're finally seeing a long throw value.
The last set of figures I saw was about a month ago, and we had carried out 74 different long throws without a goal being scored.
Yeah, and how many minutes? How many minutes of football has that taken up?
Well, that's
or non-football. While you wait for them to get the ball.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's insane. That has is that baked just quickly. So you know what, I was going to finish, but just quickly, Chris, has there been any decisions around limiting how long people have to take throw-ins?
Yeah, so it was definitely up for discussion. I'd need to go back and look at what the final decisions of IFAB were, but I know they were I think they might have parked it, so maybe not for next season, but I can go and confirm. There was definitely discussions. That the view is that this 8-second rule for keepers has worked, so that they're getting rid of it quicker, and they kind of want to extend it to throw-ins and possibly even goal kicks, corner kicks, maybe. So
that'd be good. It's 8 seconds when the ball's in the keeper's hands. But I only remember one time this season from memory that it ever resulted in a corner kick to the opposition. That was Burnley first game of the season, wasn't it?
It has happened a few times.
Okay.
But generally the view is that they don't waste as much time these days, and referees are more likely to penalise it because a corner is less consequential than having an indirect free kick like 5 yards out, which is a mental scenario that nobody ever wants to penalise. So
yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah,
I can go and have a look because I can't remember exactly.
We'll park that one for another conversation. So you're saying 2-1. You're saying 2-1, Lubo. I'm also going to say 2-1. I also actually, as much as it kills me, I also subscribe to the idea that we'll be 2-0 up and then we'll concede and then it will be squeaky bum time. But come 10 o'clock tonight, when the final whistle goes, you will hear the old famous song where we all put our hands up and start dancing, and then you'll see me doing some sort of stupid video smashed out of my face, slurring, and with a bottle of Magnum in my hand down the high road about 10:30.
In the Bricklayers Arms.
In the Bricklayers Arms, trying to find those couple of sorts that were there after the Brighton game, Lubo. You know Butler. You know Butler.
They could be there. They could be there, Sean.
Sunday night in Tottenham, here we come.
They could be season ticket holders, Sean. You might be sitting a couple of rows in front of them. You just don't know.
Oh, and there's already a girl who sits one row in front of me called Kaz, who we had a little, so we'll find out.
Sean, there's your chat up line, mate. What stand you sit in? What row are you in? I mean,
you can sit on my lap. You can sit on my lap if you want. If you're in the north stand, you want to come down the south, just sit on my lap, love. There you go.
Absolutely.
All you got to do is scream "OK Jersey 15% off" using Sean15 at checkout, and everyone is a very happy lad. Guys, we will see you later on. If you are going to the game tonight, I'll be up there from about 8 o'clock. I'm going to try to be in Tottenham by 5. I'm meeting Hayden at the Hayden. If you're still watching, I can't remember what pub you said. I'll put it out on the community post. I'll let everyone know. We'll be somewhere at 6, but I'll be in the 8 bar by 5. If you do see me tonight, if you're going up there, come and say hello. In the meantime, please get on to Spurs Hub, sign up, and show your support because it's a cool item to check into. Sorry, Lubo.
And pop into the 8 bar because there'll be another YouTube star, brand new star, made his debut on Saturday. Connor's dad.
Connor's dad? Is he going to be in the 8 bar? Is he?
I think he normally is. He normally is with Connor, isn't he?
He's normally with me. Yeah, he's normally with me.
Brilliant show.
I still don't know. I've met Connor's dad probably, 10 times. All I know his name is his dad. I don't know what his actual name is.
His name's Mike.
Mike.
His name's Mike.
Mike.
We did a nostalgia show. We talked about our experiences in the 60s. I mean, he started before me with the first part of the 60s, and I came in late 60s, and it was an absolute blast. This is a massive club. We are still a massive club, I'm telling you.
Yeah, we are. Regardless of what happens. But after tonight, we're going to be one step closer to survival, and then we can get back to the fun and games of the summer, transfer news, views, and clues. Chris, I appreciate you so much. Lubo, I appreciate you for coming on. Backdoor Lubo strikes again, and it was a valuable one this time. Love you all. Thank you everyone for the support and for the super chats as well that have come in. I'll see you guys tonight, or I'll see you tomorrow morning. Appreciate everyone. Bye. Come on, you Spurs. Bye, Jeff.